At the understanding that life is not going to take you back, you are the world you have created. And when you cease to exist, this world that you have created will also cease to exist. But those with the understanding that they're living the last days of the world, death acquires a different meaning. The extinction of all reality is a concept no resignation can encompass. And then all the grand designs and all the grand plans will finally be exposed and revealed for what they are. And now, counselor, I have to go because I have to make other calls. If I have time, I think I'll take a small nap.
Bolo.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazzy.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
There's a mistake. Moonlight. Best Picture.
I was desperately trying to look up a quote from Tough Guys Don't Dance.
Fantastic.
But I couldn't find one, so I just said Bolo.
No, that's a good one. This is very similar to Tough Guys That Don't Dance.
Mr. Regency and I make out 5 times a night. That's why I call him Mr. 5.
That is kind of the opening of this movie.
Yeah, it kind of is.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press Retrospectives. This is Failed Award Contenders, Season 2, Episode 3, Ridley Scott's The Counselor. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Matt Garingo.
Hey, when you say counselor, do you think of the fucking Scorsese remake of Cape Fear?
No, but now I do a little bit, yeah.
Counselor! And he's like always yelling that at him. You're well within your 500 yards. And they're punching each other on the boat. That's a wild movie.
That is a wild movie. More people should talk about it.
Spielberg almost did it.
That's also fucking wild. Oh, yeah,
Spielberg was going to do it.
Traded, right?
Yeah, him and Scorsese traded, and they traded, Scorsese got Cape Fear, and Spielberg got Schindler's List. So,
that probably worked out for the best.
Yeah, it worked out for the better. Because I
Yeah.
cannot imagine a Spielberg version of Cape Fear. But, hey.
What about a Spielberg version of The Counselor?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't even know what that would look like.
I think putting Spielberg and Cormac McCarthy together would just destroy the universe. It just creates some sort of singularity that just destroys everything.
Matt, how do we talk about this movie?
We don't. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, Jonathan Demme.
Goodbye, Judy Foster.
So, The Counselor, directed by Ridley Scott. It is a 2013 crime thriller written by Cormac McCarthy. It is also the rare Cormac McCarthy attempt at an adaptation that is not based on a book.
Mm-hmm. Is it the only one?
I think it is the only one.
I mean, he's had plays adapted as well, like the Sunset Limited.
Yeah, in the movies?
It was a TV movie.
Oh, that counts.
So there's that. But hey,
so he did. You know what? No, never mind. I thought there was something called The Gardener's Son, but he didn't. He didn't direct, or he didn't make it into a movie. No one made it into a film.
It was just a screenplay for a while.
Yeah.
But then I think there was a television version of it.
Something called Visions.
Sure.
Oh, it's like okay. So, Visions was a 90-minute American television weekly anthology series.
Can you
in
imagine?
The 70s.
Cormac McCarthy, it's he's too fucking hot for television. And it's too hot for movies. You can't adapt his shit. But he's been adapted to television twice now. Imagine flipping through the channels and just stumbling across the Sunset Limited.
Yeah. Oh my God! It starred Ned Beatty.
Hey, maybe we'll have to check that out at some point.
Yeah. Oh my God.
70s Ned Beatty undefeated.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of one of the great runs of an actor.
I think he did it the same fucking year he did Superman, the movie.
Oh my God.
It's between Network and Superman.
Wild.
Wow.
Because that's the thing where he goes directly from being he's Arthur Jensen, right, in Network, Yelling Man, and then he's immediately like 2 years later, he's like, "Sorry, Mr. Luthor," like he's bumbling like idiotic Otis, and it's just like, damn, that's some range.
That is. And I think I don't even put this on actors. I think some actors try to protect their like brand and personality, but like a lot of like producers and agents and stuff like that, they don't want people to like expand from what they're known for. Mm-hmm. And you just can't have that mentality because otherwise you don't become Ned Beatty.
Yeah.
Well,
Ned Beatty to me is like the perfect career where it's just like he's just a terrific character actor in everything.
Yeah.
Like, he's amazing. I mean, he's like in All the President's Men for like 2 scenes. And it's all he is like trying to stop one of them from like going into an office. Like, that's basically his whole scene. Listen to me, like, "I'm sorry, I'm too busy to talk to you." And it's like great shit. Like,
he is also United States Senator Charles F. Meacham in the 2007 hit film Shooter, directed by Anton Fuqua.
I have a friend who imitates him from that movie specifically.
That's a wild specific choice.
I'm trying to remember the line he always does where he's like, "Are you gonna shoot a United States Senator?" Like some insane thing like that.
Yeah. That movie is the greatest liberal bullshit ever. I love Shooter.
And I don't know what that means. I only saw Shooter once.
It is, well, it's wildly conservative, but it's also like libertarian, I guess. Libertarian is probably the proper term. I'm obsessed with it. It's so much fucking fun. It's the perfect TNT movie. It's great garbage. Mark Wahlberg's finest performance. It's so violent.
I do remember that.
It's so fucking violent. And we're going to talk about violence today, talking about The Counselor. I forget, we're doing the extended cut, right? The unrated, whatever?
Yes, I watched the extended cut, which...
Okay, me too.
I have only watched this film a few times. Did you see it in theaters?
Fuck no.
Guess what? I did.
Whoa!
And I saw it with my grandfather.
Oh my god.
And it was an experience. But I mostly remember seeing it with my grandfather. And every time I sit down to rewatch it, because I own the extended cut, I'm always like, I don't remember this, but this seems to be a lot of stuff to put back in, and there's only the extended cut's only like 20 minutes longer, and it's all front-loaded stuff. So I was like, this can't be all additional stuff. And then I looked it up, and it turns out, oh yeah, it was all additional stuff. Mainly this, like, it seems to cut like 20 minutes from like the first chunk of the movie, and then like the second half plays out mostly the same. Mm-hmm. But have you only seen the extended cut?
No, I've seen both, and I honestly like both, but the extended one is the way to go. Yeah,
the extended one, it kind of, it has a better rhythm, you know?
Yeah.
I think the theatrical cut wanted to get to the actual crime stuff quickly, whereas the other one is kind of like, you get into the groove of like, oh, this isn't really like a crime film, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's different. And then the crime is just kind of something that happens towards the end, and then the rest of it is just like the fallout of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but
is the crime also the release of the film?
I guess not, because it made money.
Oh my, what?
Yeah, $25 million budget, made $70 million at the box office.
You know, I never would have expected. I assumed it was a bomb.
I assumed too, and then it was like, oh hey, it made money. Because this is a film that just would not ever get released ever again. Like, no one would release a movie like this in theaters.
Yeah, no.
Like, this would never get made.
All right, let's dial back.
But let's see, how much did No Country make? Because that's what they were shooting for.
No Country for Old Men made like
$171 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say 200 million, so that's pretty good.
So it's on the same budget for both movies, by the way.
No way.
Yeah, same budget, and so The Counselor grossed about $100 million less than they wanted, but hey, it still made money.
Yeah, well, you know, it is the failed award contenders, so that.
Well, that is so. All right, before we get into like what the fuck this thing is. Do you remember the marketing for this movie?
I kind of do, but like in passing. Like I just remember like, oh, Ridley Scott's got a new movie coming out. Like he's kind of been on a missing streak for me for a while. I didn't like Prometheus at this point. This is the movie he does after Prometheus, like immediately after, which is fucking just
kind of
like,
wild.
Yeah, like
this is a weird period for him because he makes like 5 bad movies in The Counselor.
No, well, he made Prometheus, which took everyone a minute to get to.
He made Prometheus, which is bad and remains bad.
No, it's so good.
And it's such garbage, and I am at a loss that like.
Well, here. Let's take a look back because this is
try to reclaim it.
It's a new century, right? So let's kick it off at the top. Gladiator, which I
which
like.
Is kind of that's the movie where it's like Ridley Scott can now do whatever he wants for 20 years.
Yeah, and then 20 years later, he has to do Gladiator 2. Which
is he doing Gladiator 2?
Yeah,
I saw that was like announced, but like I was kind of like, that doesn't. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be like another Gladiator story instead of the fucking
that insane script where it's like he's
you
like
can read it online. Yeah. I'm gonna link it in the show notes for this episode because it's related to Ridley Scott. Please read it if you have never read it before. Holy shit!
All right,
I'll say this: the subtitle is gonna be Christ Killer.
Great.
Yes.
Here's something. I pull a gun on you.
Okay.
And I go, all right, you have to make a choice. We get a new universe where Prometheus doesn't get made, but in its place, that crazy version of Gladiator gets made. Mm-hmm. What do you do?
Like, do I have to choose between Prometheus and that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard. I don't know.
I think it's a pretty obvious one, frankly.
No, because like Prometheus and Covenant are like, they're such pivotal movies for me at this point in my movie loving
because you
era.
Aim on being a terrible filmmaker.
I guess so, yeah. I think I have to be because no one else is going to pick up the mantle.
Yeah. No, here you don't make Prometheus because it's bad, and then Prometheus doesn't get made, and then At the Mountains of Madness by Guillermo del Toro gets made.
Oh, so that's right.
Gotta consider the butterfly effect.
I know.
And then maybe that bombs, because it probably would. And then Ridley Scott doesn't get to make Exodus, Gods and Kings, which I think the universe would be better for, frankly.
And then he does Prometheus later. You're right.
No, he never does Prometheus. They stopped. Someone rightfully was like, you know what? Let's get out while the getting's good and never make an Alien movie after Alien 3. And it's just never touched. And, like, people are like, wow, there's, like, a money, like, there's just money to be made there. And then there's one guy, it's one hero. Sometimes there's a hero who gets to say whether or not it happens. He's just like, no. And he's like, we're diluting this product if we keep doing it. It would be a bad idea to keep making these. But we can make an original science fiction film from the director of Alien. And that's what we'll put on the poster. And you can do that. Stop touching Alien. You fucks.
Well, they're doing another one.
I know. Here's the thing. When that comes out, like, I just want people to know, like, I have nothing. My beef with Prometheus and Alien Covenant has nothing to do with Ridley Scott. Like, I don't want any more Alien shit. Like, I am done. I don't, like, there isn't me going being like, yeah, but if you gave it to who's someone that they would give it to that's like a good filmmaker, like
my vote recently has been for Lynn Ramsey.
Yeah,
and she doesn't want to do any Hollywood stuff, but like that's the one.
But like if I was like, yeah, but they gave it to Lynn Ramsey, they'd get it. No, like there's not that. I don't have that in the back of my brain. I'm like, stop with Alien. Alien really should have been one movie. It's just insane that Aliens happen to also be a great movie. Which, like, that is, like, what kills... That's the death of culture right there. Like, if James Cameron, that bastard, had to make a good movie... and then it's, like, tricked all these executives into being like, yeah, franchises, toys, whatever.
Well, he kind of has the George Lucas effect, and this will tie into Ridley Scott eventually, too. Like, I'm talking about James Cameron right now. Where it's like... Well, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, they make these big hits. They change Hollywood because they're so talented, and then everyone follows suit. And it's like, no. You have to be that talented to do the things they did. And no one ever catches on, so then they also get the brunt of the blame when culture turns toxic and sour.
Well, they get their argument is, but we gave it to a talented guy for Alien 3. Like, we didn't know it at the time, but and he fucked it all up. And it's like, yeah, but you guys like were fucking with him from the start. And he's like, don't bring that up.
yeah, you know. And it's like, I love Alien 3, but it's like, imagine like the untouched version of that.
Yeah.
Like,
which I don't know. Maybe if there is an untouched version of Alien 3 that would work, that like maybe I would feel differently. But to me, it's like Alien 3 is one of those where like I like it, even though it is like it's a totally like compromised movie, even the best cut of it. And then there was never another good Alien thing ever made after that. So.
And then I'm on my cosmic brain shit because now I'm like levitating, and I'm like, oh, the aliens are good now.
No. You are in a barrel submerged in shit. Is what you are. Because holy God, Alien Resurrection is like a wet fart of a movie.
That's a fun movie.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet, come back to me.
Joss Whedon.
No. I didn't say that.
You put that fucking Walmart joke in that movie. We should have known then. We should have known. We really should have. That is like the worst line. That is like the worst. Like, that is the death of humanity. That's the heat death of the universe. Like, Cormac McCarthy heard that line and was like, Jesus Christ. Like, it really,
I'm gonna write
really
Blood
is.
Meridian.
Yeah, this really is it. Like, he went back in time and gave his younger self a manuscript copy of Blood Meridian after seeing Alien Resurrection. And that might explain why the following two Alien films are so fucking bleak. Like, it's even Ridley Scott was like, fuck this.
Well, let's talk some more about Ridley Scott, because like I mentioned, Gladiator, Hannibal, which you like, Black Hawk Down, which
is not like a good movie, but I do like it.
Yeah. Matchstick Men, which has a weird like underground fan base that I haven't like really.
You know what? I have not
into.
watched Matchstick Men in about a decade, and I couldn't tell you a thing about it, honestly.
Kingdom of Heaven, which has a great extended cut.
Yep, which we
talked about last year.
Good Year, which is a movie that's like not real. Like,
it's a movie that him and those people made because they're like, hey, I got a second home in Italy. Let's just fucking make a movie here.
We have to launder a shit ton of money. Who can we get? Get me Ridley Scott.
Yeah, and you know what? Minus the business executives clearly money laundering through that movie. If I had a house in Italy, which I never will, because I'll never be as rich as Ridley Scott, I would also be like, let's just fucking shoot a movie down the street from where I live. Like,
well, that's like who produced Castle Freak? Whoever that guy was produced the movie.
Stuart Gordon Freak. And who else?
No, produced it.
Who's his producer? Because it was like the same guy who produced Reanimator, right?
It's Fulman Entertainment. That's Charles Band.
There we go.
So I think Charles Band owned a castle. And was like, Stuart Gordon, I'll give you... You can make a movie, you can make whatever you want, but it has to be called Castle Freak, and it has to be set in a castle, and it has to have a freak in it. And then fucking Stuart Gordon was like, can I adapt an H.P. Lovecraft story? And they were like, fine. And they're just call it Castle Freak. Like,
American Gangster, have you seen that?
Yes.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I love American Gangster, actually.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's really good. People were weird about that when it came out.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that's about, but Denzel rules in it. Russell Crowe's great in it.
Russell Crowe is the kind of... But, like, Russell Crowe kind of gets, like, act off the screen by Denzel.
Oh, sure,
like,
but
it's not his fault.
Denzel.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like... It's one where, like, they want you to care about both storylines equally, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I don't care about Russell Crowe's storyline, but I'm kind of like, anytime Denzel's not on the screen. It's like, when Denzel's not on the screen, the audience should be asking, where's Denzel?
Yeah. Then he does Body of Lies and Robin Hood, which everyone was like, oh shit, what happened? Mm-hmm. Because, like, I don't think those are the worst movies ever made, but there is, like, nothing to them.
Yeah, they're kind of
there's less than anything to them.
Feels like Ridley Scott, oddly, like, going through the motions. Mm-hmm. And that includes Prometheus, which is just him remaking Alien.
No, it's not.
But he made it more long-winded and boring and less engaging and full of people you hate.
I'm gonna redo the Alien retrospective.
It was kind of like what's that movie, The Five Obstructions, where they remade that movie 5 times. And he was like, what if I remade Alien, but like did like all this insane shit that made it impossible to be good? And then it was like, well, it's not good, but it is a movie. So,
yeah, and then he comes back with the counselor. And I think people are assuming by this point, like, all right, is Ridley Scott, like, just, is he gonna, like, fizzle out? Because people fucking hated this movie, and they still kind of hate this movie.
I don't know, Letterboxd loves it.
Letterboxd loves it, but...
Although one of the top reviews is, like, a 5-star review, I think from the year it came out, so...
You know, that does make sense, though. Like, because what the fuck do you even do with this movie?
Well, I will say, like, it is one of those where, like, I think the theatrical cut, which is fine, it is a little bit like, it feels like the movie doesn't know what it's doing a little bit. Where, like, it was one of those where, like, I remember liking it, but also being like, yeah, but it's not perfect. Whereas the director's cut, it's like, oh, this is a more, like, cohesive film. I feel like some more people have seen the unrated. I don't even know. It's not director's cut. It's unrated extended cut, right? Like,
yeah. It's like one of those weird things.
Inexplicably, like, all these movies, by the way, we talked about, all have unrated extended cuts or director's cuts. Except Prometheus, the one most in need of some fucking editing.
I would agree with that, and it's so funny. I think that came up on the original retrospective, and like there's a note people still have about it where it's like, how come that one didn't get it? Like
that's my dad's note on Prometheus, which like I kept my dad watching Prometheus all the time, and he's like, I don't like this movie, but there's a good version in here, and it's in the deleted scenes. And he's so angry about it. Like,
isn't that just like the most frustrating shit ever? It's like you can see it. It's like right there, and it just doesn't cross that line.
So like the only way I'm ever endorsing Prometheus as a good movie is if that director's cut happens.
Makes it even worse.
It's if it's worse, that would even be more interesting than the whatever fucking nonsense that movie is. But hey, But yeah, but it's more like the follow-up is like Exodus, Gods and Kings, which is the most like, fuck you. Like,
yeah, I was going to bring that up next. People, that's the one where it's like, all right, Ridley Scott's, he's done. Then he comes back with The Martian, which I like. Don't love, but I like it. And people like are like, all right, the king is back. You know, the return of the king. This is a great movie. And I'm like, all right, let's calm down. It's good, but like, calm down. And then I love Alien Covenant.
They did Alien Covenant, which his only goal in that movie was not to shoot the alien out of the goddamn airlock again. And he failed fucking miserably.
Yeah, but he also crushes one of them, so it's fine.
Yeah, great. But, yeah, he's a failure. Alien Covenant is an absolute failure of a movie. One of the most miserable movie-going experiences of my entire life. And I'm bringing that up in the episode for The Counselor. Which is one of the bleakest films ever.
I have described it to friends. When I first saw it finally, it was like Netflix or HBO or something. And I was like, this is the movie people don't like? Like, this is when I'm getting into like the whole vulgar auteurism shit, whatever, you know? And I was describing it to some friends, and I was like, I think the movie's challenging me to not like it. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's such a hateful, cynical, futile film. Mm-hmm. And like I'll never forget the look on some friends' faces were like, what are you talking about? Like, why would the movie not want you to like it? And I was like, well, I like it's hard hitting, but not like in a shallow sense. Maybe a little shallow, but also like satirical.
I don't know if the movie is a fuck you to the audience. I mean, I don't know if it's it doesn't want you to like it. I think it's a fuck you to the audience, is what I meant. Because isn't it kind of so like? I'm assuming people have seen this movie. They probably haven't.
Look, you have to see this movie because
we are going to go through the plot in detail, though. Okay. Because I have 7 pages of notes.
Okay.
But this movie is just the Bolito. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it gets put around the counselor's neck at the start of it, and we just watch it play out. Right? Like, we know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, you know exactly where it's going because you know there's
we just stand around, that ends. And we just stand around and watch and then get sprayed with blood.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what this movie is.
Yeah, this is a completely, like, just like superficial note, but this movie might have the greatest decapitations ever filmed. Like that are fictional. That are fictional. I'm not.
I will not give it that credit just because it's so like miserable.
It is miserable, and this is like the little device, whatever. I'm not getting into like the real life like problems with like Mexican cartels and shit like that. Like this is very real, like sensitive, disgusting subject matter. In terms of like the film, it is like they look fantastic because I feel like I need a shower after all of them. You know.
I do wonder why this works for me, though, in a way where, like, Alien Covenant is so insanely bleak and just miserable and full of nothing insightful about the human condition. And I watched that movie and, like, I just straight up, like, don't want to watch movies ever again. And then I watched this, which might have the grimmest image in any Ridley Scott movie. Which comes towards the end. I think you know what I'm talking about.
My brain just flashed to it.
Yeah,
it's like the last image of the movie, basically, right?
Yeah, it's close to the end, but it's not like the end.
Oh yeah. That's right. That's right.
But it's also like it's just insane, and also an unnecessary shot. Like you don't even need it in the movie, but it's there.
Yep.
Just to be evil about it, and then I finish it, and I'm like, yeah, movies.
Yeah, that was fucking great.
Yeah, I don't know what the real difference is. Maybe I just can't take your movie seriously if you're being that grim, but also set in space.
Maybe.
Because, you know, that's for children. But the counselor. But also the counselor is kind of like, I don't know, it's a little... It's also one of these movies where I feel like this is the movie that's just playing in, like, every like MAGA head's brain over and over again, where they're like, build the wall, like, just like they saw The Counselor in 2013 and like it broke them. That $71 million this movie made was enough to end American democracy.
Well, it was the 1-2 punch of this in 2013 and then Sabotage in 2014.
Sabotage and Sicario's in there somewhere.
Oh, 2015, perfect.
Which is the other one where like everyone like. All right, Sicario is like another like insanely miserable movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I talked to, let's say I have some relatives who are a little more conservative, and they're like, "Yeah, Sicario, great movie, great action crime movie. It's so violent, it's cool," and I'm just like. No.
Well, the description of it as an action movie alone, like I don't really care for that movie, but like the description of it being an action movie alone is like enough to be like, wait, pump the brakes. What do you mean? Because it's like not that. Like even I know that. It's a crime drama. It has some thrilling sequences of tension, but it is not like badass, you know, and I give the movie credit for not leaning into that too much.
But what are you talking about? He kills that guy's whole family. Wasn't that badass? Wasn't that badass?
Yeah, it's super cool to murder children.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, baby. That's
honestly, I'm like not joking. That's what like fucking the MAGA relatives that like live in Florida like think.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Like, they have cited that as being like a cool scene in the movie.
That's gross.
So yeah. That's what you're. Hey, those are the people Joe Biden's making a play for.
Yeah. Like, hey, wake up, Grandpa. It's not gonna help you.
Yeah, don't worry, they'll be dead soon. They're really old, and they're not looking great.
That's true.
Racism does some shit to the human body. Just giving you a heads up, racists out there.
Yeah. So that's how the fuck do we do this?
Well, what I was saying, I was bringing up the marketing for this movie.
Yeah,
because it was one of those where they clearly didn't know how to market it. So most of the ads I saw in theaters were just the actors talking to camera about being like, yeah, it's Ridley Scott, you know, fucking Ridley Scott, and Cormac McCarthy, he wrote No Country for Old Men. Like, they're trying to say No Country for Old Men as many times as possible in every ad. To just be like, that's kind of what this is. Mm-hmm. And it did kind of feel like, I mean, it made money, but I do remember feeling like it was under the radar a little bit. And I was kind of surprised. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is Cormac McCarthy's follow-up to No Country in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he's done movies. Like, The Road happens, but The Road was barely released.
Yeah.
And it was kind of ignored. And I was kind of like, this looks like it's Javier Bardem again in a Cormac McCarthy story. Like, I'm surprised it's not getting talked about more. And then I saw the movie, and I was like, oh, now I know why it's not being talked about that much. But it was one of those where, like, I liked it, but also I was like, Cameron Diaz fucked a car. I'm never talking about this with my grandfather ever again. And we kind of just drifted away from it. Oh, and No Country for Old Men I also saw with my grandfather. And he went to the bathroom, and the movie ended. And he was like, what happened? And I was like, well, he sat down and talked to some lady. You know, it's 2007. I don't know how to describe movies at this point. And then the movie just stopped.
Well, how do you describe this movie?
I simply wouldn't be the counselor.
Oh yeah, Michael Fassbender stars as the titular counselor.
Yeah, he doesn't have a name, right?
No, he's just the counselor.
Just the counselor.
Which is
there's a lot of that. There's a few like the priest, the blonde, the buyer, the Green Hornet.
There's a Wireman.
Wireman. Guess what he does?
You're gonna have to get. You got to tell me. I don't know.
Well, the
Wireman. How am I supposed to know that?
I mean, he wears a wire, right? Like, he's the Wireman. He must wear a wire, right? That's the obvious thing. That's why he's called the Wireman.
You would think so.
Yeah, but no, he cuts a dude's head off.
Yeah.
In a scene that... All right, does any of that, like, make sense? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But, like, there's got to be a better way to do what they were doing.
I mean, probably, but it's less cinematic, I guess.
No, I totally, like, I get it. Like, I'd rather watch that sequence than, like, him just getting a gun and shooting the guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, that makes... But, also, it's the thing... All right. What does he have in his helmet? 'Cause that's what they're after.
Oh, it's like, it's that fucking... It's some information or something, right?
Or is it just money?
We're probably overthinking this.
Well, because there's also the element where they take the wire from the truck, right? So it disables the truck.
Yeah.
Right? And then they have to get it back at okay, I think I got it. I think the Green Hornet had that cable, had that wire, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need that in order to start that vehicle. So if you steal that, then you can steal the vehicle which has the money and the drugs in it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened. Also, like, what is in this truck that, like, you can't replace that part?
Huh. Well, I don't think it's that it can't be replaced. It's like on a timetable, right? Am I misremembering that?
It's on a timetable, but I'm talking about like it is disabled specifically for the benefit of the drug cartels, right? Like, this is their way of being like, okay, instead of like handing over the keys to the vehicle because you could just hotwire the car, you literally hand over the wires to the car, right? It's kind of like a step ahead. So, but they intercept it. That's how the drugs get stolen. Mm-hmm. But like cars are kind of known for having interchangeable parts.
Maybe it's just it's what the screenwriters call a lie.
Well, yeah. Well, also I was kind of like, well, maybe Cormac McCarthy, who's like the bleakest motherfucker to ever live. Like, maybe he just reads shit all the time, and this is something he read, kind of like fucking Black Hat, where it's like, hey, the soy prices are too high. Like, at the beginning
it might be a very real, very specific thing.
But then I decided to Google Bolito, which is the device in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to Wikipedia, 4 things come up, which is bolita, the Spanish language word for ball and a type of lottery. Bolita mixto, which is an Italian cuisine. Bollito di carita, which is a black-eyed pea. And then the last one is Bollito, a fictional battery-powered decapitation device that appears in the 2013 Ridley Scott film, The Counselor. So, it might just be shit Cormac McCarthy made up.
It could be.
Because there's also a little bit of that with No Country for Old Men, a movie I love, you know?
Oh, like the silent shotgun and shit like that.
The silent shotgun, and also the air compressor thing that he uses to break all the locks, you know? Like, there's some logic to it, but there's also, like, is he really walking around with that all day? But also, like, Anton Chigurh's, like, not human, so, like, it don't matter, like... But, hey... That's the thing, I think that's the mistake. I think that's the mistake the theatrical cut kind of makes, where it tries to make it a more conventional crime film, and the crime elements really don't matter. Like, it's not A happens, so B happens, so C happens type movie, you know?
Yeah, which, you might have something there with, like, the lack of, I guess, commercial elements in the film we were talking about before recording. Like, there's no real, like... You're not going to get thrills from a Cormac McCarthy adaptation, you know?
Yeah.
Like, No Country for Old Men's about the closest you're going to get, and even then, it's like... I remember a lot of the complaints I did hear about it at the time, which weren't many, but were people that were like, oh, that's it? It just ends like that? You know, there's no big showdown or whatever? And it's like, no, there's not, because it's not about that. It's not that type of movie. It's not the type of story. So you can't approach this the same way either. Which sounds very pretentious, but so is Cormac McCarthy. So whatever.
I do remember a lot of people being like, No Country for Old Men, they really fumbled the ending. Like, I do remember people being like that. And again, I saw that movie the year it came out. It's 2007 version of me, like, who's a fucking idiot, as opposed to now, who's still a fucking idiot. But, like, just imagine a dumber version. And even then I was like, I don't know what the ending's going for, but I'm clearly supposed to be getting something from it. Like, I at least understood it on that level, right?
Yeah.
I didn't go like, cinema sin, ding! Like, you're supposed to have a shootout in the ending. Just that this movie ended with like a big, like, the counselor's going back for revenge.
The counselor will return.
Yes. But,
the Counselor versus No Country for Old Men. And then you get the third one, The Counselor on the Road. Which is just the road.
So it's like post-apocalypse. And it's like, I'm the counselor. I cannot die. This is my curse.
Yeah.
I'm on the road.
My curse is to counsel everyone. How good is Michael Fassbender as the counselor?
I mean, he does his job.
He's kind of the least interesting person in the... least interesting actor, I guess I'll say, in the movie. He's kind of the vessel which we explore everything through.
You could have just stopped as he's sort of the least interesting actor. Because I'm not a big... I think I've made this point clear. I'm not a big Fassbender fan.
Yes, you have.
And I'm looking at his filmography currently, and I'm like, yeah, not much here that I care for.
No, he's going to be in the new David Fincher movie.
Oh boy, now I can already skip that one. David Fincher might be winding down a little bit.
Oh, no, but Mank.
Yeah.
Mank.
Manked it all up.
Oh.
Everyone, it's Mankin time. But remember when he played Steve Jobs?
Oh yeah, in that bad film.
That'll never come up again. Anyway, when he played some fucking shitty robot named David, in some shitty movie no one remembers. But he was in Assassin's Creed.
I think he's terrific as David.
Yeah, people do for some reason.
Yeah, because he's good in it.
One of the least engaging performances of all time in a very boring but depressing movie.
No, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
one of the greatest characters in cinema history.
That's truly insane to say. That is truly like never touch a pen or paper ever again. Statement.
You know who is actually phenomenal in this, in my opinion? I don't know how you're gonna feel about it.
Javier Bardem.
Well, yes, because he's doing some fucking wild shit.
When he's like, when you take a girl dancing, and he like starts like hunching on the floor. And
Yeah,
clicking.
I don't know what that was. He's like making gorilla motions and
Yeah,
shit.
it's like, yeah, that's what dancing is.
Yeah, it's like, all right, what happened there?
Was his one condition? I have to have more ridiculous hair than No Country for Old Men.
I'll say the one thing that also makes this movie kind of off-putting in a way I really love is that Ridley Scott doesn't really have this energy with his other movies.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Like, for better or worse, like, this is fucking goofy shit like we're just talking about.
It's
but I was
goofy,
gonna say,
and it's a lot of scenes of people being like, hey, welcome to my club. Hey, let me tell you this long story about this friend I had. And it's like, that might be relevant. I don't know. But, all right, bye. Like,
but I was going to say, the person who's fantastic in this is Cameron Diaz. I think she is great in this movie.
I don't know, honestly. And it's nothing, not against, like, I'm not going to be here like, fuck Cameron Diaz. Like, I have no take like that. I thought Cameron Diaz was a good actress. It's a shame that she kind of got done with the industry.
Yeah.
Specifically, like, a year after this movie came out.
Yeah. I wonder if this had anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Cameron, if you're listening to this, you're fantastic. I hope you're enjoying retirement.
It says she's back.
Oh, never mind. Congratulations. Good luck.
Yeah. She's interesting. She's an interesting actress. And I think she's one of those where, like, she was such a, like, it girl for a minute that no one took her seriously as an actress, but she's given good performances.
Yeah, like in this movie.
Yeah, well, it's such an odd character is the only thing I'm bumping up against, you know?
No, it so
That-
fucking is. I know you want to do this scene by scene, but I have to bring it up because I just brought her up. The much discussed controversial car fucking scene, the windshield scene. People were like, why the fuck is this happening in this movie? Oh, it's so goofy. Ridley Scott's out of his mind. What a bad thing in a bad movie. And then you watch the scene and you're like, no, I get it. It's like she's completely blindsiding Javier Bardem. It's not complicated, and the movie isn't subtle about it. She's throwing him off with her sexuality. Like that's all it is.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. This is one of those movies where it's so blunt. I'm like, I start going, am I missing something? It's something I like to call the Zack Snyder panic, where I'm watching a movie and it's so like blunt about what it is that I start going like, is this being subtle in a way I'm not picking up on? Like, it's the bluntness is like a smokescreen for something, and it's like not really, but. Because it is like, yeah, because she's literally a cheetah.
Yeah.
She is the cheetah. To the point where she has a tattoo of, like, cheetah print on her shoulder. Like, and what does the cheetah do? It's chasing that rabbit, but it plays with its prey, right?
Yeah.
It lets the prey tire itself out so it can swoop in, which is like how cats, you know, in general kill a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, yeah, that's what she does. And I think there was just an apprehension on people being like, they couldn't take her seriously as the sort of femme fatale type character, you know? Mm-hmm. Which I think is unfair to Cameron Diaz, because I do think she sells it, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those where I'm just like, it's such a strange character. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think it's a bad performance. It's just odd. But it's one of those where I'm like, it's meant to be odd.
Yeah,
so
this whole movie's fucking odd. Do you remember the first scene they released to the public?
No.
It is, I forget if it's in the extended cut or if it's just a deleted scene. It's the lingerie sequence. Goes in to talk to Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones. She does pop up in the movie in regular scenes too. But it's when Michael Fassbender's going to buy a lingerie. And, you know, stilted Cormac McCarthy dialogue. Feature, not a bug. But there's a point in the scene that they showed, and I will add it to this episode because you're not going to believe me if I explain it.
I don't have much time. I want to get some things for friend.
Of course.
Do you have tap
Yeah, I don't
hands?
think the scene's
Yes,
in
we
the
do.
movie.
Yeah, no,
We have them
okay, I
in
didn't
silk and in
remember either.
nylon.
It also is
This
like
lady
really
is 5'5"
bright.
and size 0. So
It's a lingerie
like 2
ad.
pairs in silk.
Nope, it's a scene from the film.
Do you have chemise in silk that match?
We do.
Natalie
These
Dormer
have a
gave
good
a
hand to 'em.
performance.
What's
Yeah.
hand?
It's what you're looking for when you're picking out suitings. Best material these days comes from Milan. Hand is how it folds, how it feels. All right. How about a couple of pairs of garter belts in the same colors?
Give it a second.
You should wear stockings.
I am wearing stockings.
Those look like pantyhose to me.
Well, they're not. How about brassieres?
She doesn't wear brassieres.
She sounds like a very interesting lady. How
Whoa,
long
whoa,
have you
whoa,
known
whoa,
her?
whoa!
3
Wait,
days.
keep watching.
Days you
Whoa.
buying underwear for her?
What?
Gift wrap these.
What the fuck is happening?
So your coach with the suspect or with the victim?
What the fuck was that? The fuck was that? What did they become psychic for a second?
I've never been quite sure.
Like I'm assuming it's supposed to be like, oh, now they've like they can get like the subtle like inflections of each other from this one interaction, right? Like that like, oh, their actions speak louder than if they actually spoke, but we're gonna have them do voiceover for some reason.
Yeah.
And then but then like I thought my phone was picking up a radio signal for a second.
No, can it normally do that?
No, but like I was like, the fuck is this? Like that was a more logical step than assuming it was in the scene.
So that was one of the first publicly released like promotion for the film. So you can understand that people had a strange reaction even to the lead up of the film.
Yeah, but somehow the movie still got to fucking $71 million.
Yep.
With that. Had I seen that clip, I would not have taken my grandfather to see this movie.
Yeah. That's that is quite the image.
Yeah. And man, it was directed a lot. Maybe that's why they picked it. They were like, this is Ridley Scott's doing a lot with a little here. This is Ridley Scott's Oscar.
Oh boy. Yeah, he hasn't had one of those in contention for a while. Although House of Gucci got a lot of acclaim.
All right, don't look it up. This movie was nominated for 2 awards. Just 2 separate awards ceremonies.
At the Academy?
No. 2 completely unrelated award ceremonies.
Okay.
Can you have any guess?
Well, one of them's got to be the Razzies.
Nope.
No. Okay.
I mean, unless they're not listing it, because I'm just
Okay.
looking at accolades.
I mean, I'm glad because fuck the Razzies. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I just assume,
They don't matter. They're not
Yeah.
real.
They're,
So,
yeah, fucking hackneyed bullshit. A Golden Globe,
Nope.
Critics' Choice.
Close, but you'll probably never get like what specific critics' choice. The
Austin.
London Critics Circle
Oh, okay.
gave it a Best Actor, British Actor of the Year. Gave it to Michael Fassbender. So maybe that's like just like everything he did that year, which I don't know what the fuck else he was doing in 2014. Is that 12 Years a Slave?
2013 is 12 Years a Slave.
Another
yeah.
movie he's not good in. But
I think he's fine in it.
he's not good in it. But there's one other award. Can you think of any other ceremony this movie might have been nominated for? Any other group? Just get the group.
Venice Film Festival.
From the MTV Movie Awards.
Oh my god.
It was nominated for Best WTF Moment. And it's the Cameron Diaz scene.
Yeah, you know what?
So now we know why Cameron Diaz retired.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Well, she's good in it in spite of all that bullshit.
Yeah. I like most of the people in this. Most people are good in this, and also Michael Fassbender's in it.
Well, we talked about Javier Bardem already.
Yeah.
Penelope Cruz doesn't get, like, it feels like she's kind of gone under the radar as she's
where has
gotten
she
older.
been? She's a good actress.
She's great. I'm also, like, I've been madly in love with her since I first saw her. But she was in the 355, which is one of the worst directed films ever made.
Yeah, that's a movie that's like... It feels like that movie was almost like a CIA operation to tank several people's careers at once.
It does a little bit. But she works with Pedro Almodovar a lot.
Oh, yeah,
so she's getting steady work with him, which is
okay.
good.
You know what? I'm like,
made in heaven.
He's totally off my radar, so like I don't see a lot of his movies.
Yeah. She was also in Kenneth Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express, which I really like.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that one.
Yeah.
No,
it's not as good as the Sidney Lumet one.
No.
I know. I'm not, I would never compare that. I'm just saying I think it's fun.
Hey. She's a good actress. I wish she was in more mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, she was in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides.
I know. I know.
Which is a movie.
Is it? Like, legally?
I mean, yeah, honestly, it is. It's just not a good one. The next one's not a movie. Like, at all.
Yeah, but it has ghost sharks, so I'm going to borderline give it a pass.
Okay. That one, on Stranger Tides, just has that, like, scene where Jack Sparrow is, like, running around Parliament or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's different. That's kind of fun. Like, yeah. And then once he leaves and it goes back to being a pirate movie, it's like, okay, we're done here. Like,
yeah. Well, it's directed by the most boring person ever.
Yeah.
So.
Guy, like, if you put a gun to his head and be interesting, he couldn't do it.
Yeah. How does she fucking get musicals? And sorry,
because Hollywood doesn't know what to do with musicals anymore, and he just happens to make ones that make money.
That's true.
So they're like, I guess you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like, nope. But yeah, she's fantastic. Brad Pitt is also in this, who no one has any negative feelings about right now.
There is that weird scene where him and Michael Fassbender sit down, and they're like, no one better Google any accusations against us. I mean, when they talk about that Bolito for a long period of time.
Yeah, and in fact, if you really want to be safe about it, you should check out Google Brad Pitt allegations. Anyways, that being said, he's pretty good in this movie. There's a reason.
Brad Pitt is. Here's something actor. Like, regardless of what happens in the near future, Brad Pitt is a great actor. Unfortunately, like, he has that movie star charisma.
Yeah,
like, that means nothing about what he is as a human being.
Yeah,
which could be anything. Which could be anything. It's not
like an accident that he became one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. You know, it's not an accident like the way Jared Leto's career is an accident.
It's not an accident like Michael Fassbender being like this leading man.
No, he's not a movie star though. He's a leading man. That's different.
He's inexplicably a leading man in a lot of big movies though.
Not really anymore. That's
not anymore. Probably the only good thing Alien Covenant did.
Oh my god.
Was end that run. But but hey. But you know what, Diego? I think you're right. Michael Fassbender is a scholar and a gentleman.
No, I didn't say that either. Yeah, maybe give that one a Google too, just for no reason in particular.
Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez is great. Oh, I need to shout out my boy Ruben Blades from Predator 2 fame.
Oh yeah.
Predator 2 gang, where are you at? He gives the monologue I gave.
Yeah, he's the guy who's like, the one world where the bodies are buried is one world, but this. And he talks for a long time. I do remember being in a theater being like, what? Like, it's like, it kept going. Like, it's a long scene of him being like, hey, here's some poetry. Like, do you ever think about that, counselor? The counselor's like, clearly not. I'm calling you. And he's like, okay, bye.
I'm like groaning, but I'm like, yeah, I do love this movie, and it's just strangeness. I also have to, before we get into the stuff, because we really should get into like the movie.
Yeah, we should talk about the plot.
Natalie Dormer in that scene I just shared with you and the people listening.
She is in an actual scene that's in the movie.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. And that's another actress who, like, she was in Game of Thrones at this. Like, she had just joined Game of Thrones. So
Yeah.
her popularity's blowing up. She's in The Hunger Games. She's in Rush. And then now her career's kind of fizzled out.
She does mostly television stuff. Like...
Yeah, I think to me it's just such a shock. I don't know the quality of the stuff she's doing. Maybe it's fantastic and I just need to watch it. But, like, she did feel like she had a movie star presence that just never got picked up on, in my opinion. But what do I know? All right, let's talk about this motion picture. I have no idea how to talk about this motion picture.
It opens with a motorcycle. And, like,
yes, it does.
Past the camera. And then what happens? Then we go. This is where I'm describing the unrated extended cut. By the way, I think some of this stuff is in a different order in the other cut, in the theatrical cut. Also, hey,
I'm
want to
pretty
talk
sure
about
it opens the same way. Really quick, I just want to say that.
What was that?
I think it does open the same way.
Okay.
In the regular cut.
Okay. Do we want to talk about, though, that the Ridley Scott's failed attempt to adapt Blood Meridian?
Oh, yeah, which is probably what led him to this.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, could anything else have led to it? What do you think about, could Ridley Scott have done Blood Meridian? Like, I don't know.
If he has the energy he has now, post-Counselor, yes. Mm-hmm. I don't think he could have done it prior. I think he had to fail at adapting it to bring this energy to the Counselor. Because I think I can sense a lot of, like, artistic frustrations in it. And, like, you know, you mentioned that, like, he was going through the motions with a couple movies in the late 2000s, and it definitely feels like that. And here he's like, well, fuck, I'll fucking show you. I'll fucking show you all. I'm the motherfucker that made Alien and Blade Runner. You know? He's like he's never made anything like this since. The closest thing is Alien Covenant, and stylistically, it's not even close, in my opinion. Although I do love Alien Covenant.
It's just thematically is hateful.
But, it's very hateful, yes.
Yeah. One of the most hateful movies ever made. But, Tommy Lee Jones almost did an adaptation, apparently.
Whoa, what?
This is before Ridley Scott. Tommy Lee Jones eventually goes on to do The Sunset Limited, the TV movie. Which, you know, that's like a stage play, so it's like a one-set thing. Have you seen that?
No, I have not, no.
That's literally it's just him and it's Sam Jackson. And they're going back and forth, basically. It's a good one. It's a good one. Check it out. Also bleak.
Yeah, I'm noticing a through line with Cormac McCarthy works. It's just they're all miserable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's insanely nihilistic and fatalistic. Like, his stuff is so grim. Where like sometimes it's a little too much even for me. You know. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm not like a fan of The Road. Like The Road goes a little too far for me. Mm-hmm. But also that book is like so carefully designed to be as bleak as fucking possible. So I don't know. Hey, remember when James Franco almost did an adaptation of Blood Meridian?
Yeah.
He was talked into it by Andrew Dominic, apparently.
Oh my god.
Who is now like a guy who's gone from being like, he's one of my guys, to be like, never come near me ever again. Yeah. Like, because I mean, I love his first 3 movies. And then it's like, oh no.
Yeah, I to date have not seen Blonde still.
Yeah. You'll be the one fucker that likes
change.
it. You'll be the
No, some people do like it.
You'll like Babylon too, probably.
I mean, maybe.
Another bad movie.
I like Chazelle's other movies. I just don't like worship them or anything, you know.
Yeah, Babylon's terrible, but it's mainly because it's like it would be like if this movie had like you watched. Here's what Babylon's like, and this is what people aren't getting. People are trying to say no one can handle Babylon because everyone's too puritanical right now, and that's not true. The reason why Babylon doesn't work is because imagine if you saw a version of The Counselor where all the same shit that happened in it happened, like beat for beat, all these scenes happened, but they left no impact on you. That's what Babylon's like.
So instead of Ridley Scott directing, it'd be like
if James Franco directed it.
No, oh no, I don't want that.
James Franco
At all.
did go on. He eventually did a Cormac McCarthy adaptation, right?
Did he?
He did Child of God.
Oh, what? When the
Yeah.
fuck did that happen?
It's that weird period where James Franco does like 2 movies a year for like 10 years. Like before The Disaster Artist comes out.
Huh.
Yeah, between the release of The Disaster Artist and the year 2005, he releases 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 movies. So that's almost 1 movie a year. And no one has seen any of them.
Jesus Christ.
The only one people have seen is that weird Saturday Night Live documentary he did.
Which one's that?
It's basically just he just filmed a week of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like, here's what goes into making Saturday Night Live. And it's like, yeah, there's like 50 books about that, James Franco.
He, I saw that test footage he did for Blood Meridian. I forget if you recommended it to me or whatever. But I finally did watch it, and it's horrible. It's just horrible.
I know we've talked about it before.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's what it is. It's terrible. He's not a good director.
No, he's not.
Although I did like The Disaster Artist at the time.
Why did anyone... Like, no offense, Diego, but like you do have that where you'll like a movie and then rewatch it and realize it's terrible.
It happens. It happens.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
But not to me because I'm a genius.
Never. Of course, never.
Looking forward to rewatching The Whale one of these days. But that was one of those where like that movie was so dead on arrival for me, like The Disaster Artist specifically, and because it really to me it missed the point of the fucking book, which it like shouldn't have been that hard to miss, and it was like he just wanted to make Ed Wood. It felt like, you know, is that the vibe you got from that movie?
Yeah, but I think I liked him doing it more so. If that
yeah,
makes
but like,
sense.
have you read the Disaster Artist book?
I have not.
Which is actually a really good book.
No, I have not. I should read it.
And the real thing you learn from that movie is that Hollywood has become a place where you can just buy your way in if you have money. And that's exactly what Tommy Wiseau did. And it worked. And now he gets to ride like this weird acclaim for being a bad director. Like it's this guy who like has no right to be there, and he's there, and it's like it's more an indictment of the whole industry, frankly.
Oh, so naturally, James Franco was like, "This is an inspirational story."
Yeah, that exactly. Like it's the exact opposite of what the movie is. Yeah, what a bad movie. I hated that movie.
So I'll probably like it even more on rewatch.
I mean,
obviously,
who knows?
No.
Maybe it's fine.
No,
Maybe
but I've not read the book, so the fact that that's like the case is like very strange.
It'd be like Blood Meridian having a good ending.
We're gonna give it back to the fans.
Yeah, we're gonna give Blood Meridian back to the fans. All right, is Blood Meridian like truly unadaptable? Like, that was a question I posed to you before we started recording, or is it just like you could make a movie, but the movie's gonna gross like $3?
I think that book is. I think it is right now. I think the industry has to change, and we need like, dramas to come back a little.
No, like ignoring the industry thing. Like, I don't care.
Okay,
I don't care. Like, it's of course you never know what movie's going to connect with people. Maybe there will be a time when Blood Meridian is going to play like gangbusters. Maybe that time was specifically the weekend after Donald Trump was elected president. But I'm just saying, like, because people talk about it being unadaptable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it truly physically unadaptable?
No, I don't think so anymore.
Okay.
I'll be honest, for two reasons. One, because I thought Dune was unadaptable because I never fucking read it, and then I saw the Denis Villeneuve one, and while I don't think it's like the best movie ever, I was like, oh, you could totally make this work.
Yeah.
And two, You know what? No, I was going to say with Ridley Scott, but no. Someone else could make it. You do need this energy that's in the counselor, though.
Mm.
You need this fucking, like, psychotic shift in the elements of, like, the very act of filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make something that people are going to be kind of revolted by.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be okay with that, you know? Right now, and I don't know what other filmmakers might be okay with that. But again, I do think it is possible in the future now.
Yeah.
More than ever.
Now, here's another one. Should it be adapted?
I'd say yeah.
Because, like, No Country for Old Men is, like, an okay book, in my opinion, and the movie's better, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, like, one where, like, someone, like, clearly the Coen brothers could take that material and kind of turn it into their own thing. And they made a great movie out of it. Cormac McCarthy has other novels that I feel similarly about. But, like, Blood Meridian's one where I'm kind of like, maybe it works best as a novel. Like, I don't see adapting something unless you can either make it better or make it its own thing, you know?
Yeah. Take advantage of the medium you're playing in.
Yeah.
You know, like, I brought up House of Leaves a bunch of times, and it's like, you can make a fucking wild movie with that. Mm-hmm. Use what that book did on the page, like, stylistically, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you've read it.
Now, again, like, we made that joke about giving Blood Meridian back to the fans, but, like, remember there was, like, a story from, like, a week ago about, like, The Last of Us wasn't going to have the fungus zombies in it or something, the TV show.
They weren't going to have the spores.
Yeah.
No.
And people, like, freaked the fuck out over that. And I'm like, if that's what you're getting hung up on, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, no. No, it doesn't.
It could be good, it could be bad, like, ultimately, like, but you don't know until you see it. And sometimes there are stories where you have to make a radical change like that, you know?
Yeah, and then, for no reason in particular that you brought that up, I'm thinking of a certain property that maybe didn't change anything stylistically in its, let's say, adaptation from a video game to live action medium, and in fact maybe got cinematically worse in the transition, and is filmed like the worst episodes of The Walking Dead, and might be just kind of boring, even though the material has been proven to be interesting, more interesting than I even gave it credit for.
I don't know, I haven't seen the Halo TV show yet.
Yeah, that's definitely the one. That's what I really went to the Halo games for. The thrilling narrative of the Master Chief.
Oh, Master Chief. That feels like a placeholder name, and then they were like, fuck it.
Yeah. And they were like, see, we're putting you in the boots of the super soldier. And I was like, I don't know, but this is a 10 out of 10. Like, that original game fucking holds up. A lot of them do.
Never played it.
They're fun.
Yeah.
Fun as fuck.
They're on my list.
Yeah. Master Chief's Blood Meridian. Or no, who's the guy who's gonna do the Halo movie?
Oh shit! Maybe that's what you do with Blood Meridian.
You make it a video game?
No, I mean, hey, that's a choice. But no, Blood Meridian in space.
Oh my god!
You do like get fucking what's his fuck? Get Paul Verhoeven out of retirement. Like,
you sold me.
Yeah,
you just sold me.
And it's like, it's an ugly planet, a bug planet. It's Starship Troopers 2, but it's actually Blood Meridian.
All right. Who is Paul Verhoeven's Judge Holden?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's another thing where it's like, who alive could play that role?
Well, James Franco wanted to cast himself as the judge. And
that is like, the worst thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
Well, I mean, it's a known fact now that James Franco is a horrible, creep, disgusting man. But he also just had here's a huge ego. He wanted himself to be like the star of his vanity projects, and an actual artist would understand that he is not the guy for that part.
No, but here's how horrible that was. One time, a doctor came through the door and said, hey, one of your organs is collapsing and we have to take it out. Here, James Franco as the judge is worse than that. Jesus Christ. Like, really, that is one of those, who could play Judge Holden? That is one of those, like, impossible casting choices.
The Rock. The Rock.
He somehow looks like he does in fucking, like, Jumanji. How do they just not even bother to make him pale? Like, they just leave it?
No. You
Rock?
commit to the pale. That was a joke. That was a joke. I think maybe there's something to that, but you have to give it to like Michael Bay.
If we're doing the Paul Verhoeven like insane version, maybe.
Yeah.
Like...
No, because The Rock's best performance is in Pain and Gain. So
The Rock's best performance is in a little movie called Southland Tales.
Okay, you're right.
Which was a
Reunite
prank.
him.
Oh yeah, you know what? Fucking Richard Kelly's Blood Meridian.
Yep.
Is Richard Kelly coming back? What's he up to?
He's doing something again. I forget what. He just announced it at like an anniversary screening of Southland Tales a while back. Yeah. I was typing his name in and I put Richard Jelly.
This is really like cool, like counterpart. Like guy's really chill.
A dude who didn't get booted out of Hollywood because he made weird shit.
Yeah.
Woo.
He was one of Richard Kelly's biggest defenders.
Kevin Smith, right?
Yep. Yeah, Kevin Smith like, loves Richard Kelly.
Fuck yeah.
Which is interesting.
Good for him.
Remember The Box? Another Cameron Diaz vehicle.
I kind of remember The Box. I remember more, I think it was like an SNL parody or something like that. Where it was like, the premise of The Box is that here's a box with a red button on it. If you push it, someone will die, but you'll get $1 million or whatever, right?
That's the premise of The Box.
That's the premise of The Box. And then in the parody, it's like, if you push a button, someone in the world will die. And then the person presses the button before they tell them they're going to get the money. So they just do it.
That is pretty funny. SNL, you've done it again.
For every 5 million terrible things SNL does.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, they have a very funny sketch.
The funny thing about The Box is it's based on the Richard Matheson story, Button, which is like the same premise, basically. Mm-hmm. Except that's like, I think like a 15-page story or something. And it's been like adapted. It's like, it was an episode of The Twilight Zone when The Twilight Zone came back in like the 80s. And it's like, even that felt a little long. And Richard Kelly made like a nearly 2-hour movie based on
amazing.
it. Yeah, it's so wild. Because like, the story is just, if you press this button, you get $1 million, but a complete stranger will die. And so like, it's like, oh, do we press it? And finally the woman decides to press it. And the guys come back and be like, okay, we're taking it. And they're like, well, what happens now? It's like, well, here's your $1 million. And don't worry. We're taking the box, we're taking the button to someone you've never met before, implying that you have to now hope that that person is a morally upstanding citizen. But, hey. That's the whole story, and they made a movie out of it.
Yeah, that's like a good short film idea.
Yeah. Richard Matheson is the king of that, like... Or was,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Rest in peace, fucking King Matheson. Shit.
Although, and this does take us back to Ridley Scott, Richard Matheson's I Am Legend, which is my favorite book.
Oh, yeah, was Ridley Scott going to do that at one point?
He was going to do it with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That makes some sense.
You know what? I'd fucking watch it.
It would have been better than the fucking one we got. Is ultimately
Will Smith is fantastic in it, but yes,
it is one of those sad. It's tragic where it's like if you announce like I Am Legend Will Smith, I'm like I don't know, but he ends up being the good part, and it's the movie that isn't good.
Yeah, the movie lets him down. That's a top 5 Will Smith for me, like performance wise. Like he's really fantastic in it.
Yeah.
Apologies to Francis Lawrence, a director I do actually like. That movie just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So.
Did Akiva Goldsman write? Yeah, Akiva Goldsman wrote that.
Yeah, that's a fucking Achilles heel of it.
Yeah. Who is still getting work, apparently. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Although he hasn't written anything since The Dark Tower.
He's doing, like, Star Trek shit, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Star Trek. Heard that new Strange New Worlds was good. You know who fucking hates Star Trek?
Akiva Goldsman?
No, Cormac McCarthy. But...
Oh, really?
Well, Cormac McCarthy had that quote where he's like, if you think society can get better, you're a fucking idiot. Like, He like really resents the idea of like that people can better themselves.
That, you know what, tragic, but makes a lot of sense.
And it's like, yeah, that seems what Cormac McCarthy's deal is.
Yeah.
You know, now, you know what's a real shame, though, is that whenever I say Cormac McCarthy now, I think Kevin McCarthy, the guy who's, like, failing upwards in the fucking House of Representatives right now.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah. Who probably hates humanity about as much as Cormac McCarthy. The only difference is he probably hates himself, too. Anyway, back to the first scene of this movie.
Yeah, Jesus. It then transitions into a sex scene.
Yeah, they're in the bed, and they're like, it's all white. It's all white.
Because it's like the purity of their love and shit.
Yeah. Is that what that scene's about, though?
I don't know, but he's going down on her, and people were like, I remember this, people were like freaking out about this scene. They were like, it's too much. And I was like, what? Like,
the theatrical cut, because they made it longer.
They did make it longer, but I remember it was like a point of controversy.
It is a weird note to start on. I'll give them that. Like, it's
well, sure, but like, I guess, but this whole movie is just so fucking bizarre. Is
that like weird? Because this seems to happen every now and then, where like there's that weird era of people being like, real men don't eat pussy or some shit. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, there's that, and then unfortunately, that is then also followed up by people being like tackling over each other, like other dudes being like, nah, I totally eat pussy. Like, it turns into weird people like bragging about it.
Yeah. They're like, I eat pussy, huh? Tell him. It's like.
But it is a weird opening. I mostly have the quotes down, which is like where she's like, I want you to finger me, because that's the other thing she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like, she specifically has that line where it's like, you've ruined me, remember?
Yeah.
And that's like literally what happens in the movie. So yeah. And he's like, how did you learn to do that? And I'm like, how do you learn to eat pussy? Like, it's not like, it's no longer one of life's great mysteries. And then he's like, from nasty, he said like, from a lot of nasty girls or something like that. I've dated a lot of nasty girls.
Mm.
And then I'm like, what? Like, I have nothing wrong with like the sexual nature of the scene. It's the words around it that are the ones making me go like, hold up now. Like,
so Rian Johnson has this thing when he's writing his screenplays where he's said that he doesn't always focus on the dialogue. He's getting all the pieces in place. He's a big structure guy, which, you know, to his credit, he very much is.
Was Glass Onion an experiment to be like, what if I just left everything in?
Maybe, yeah. Hey, I thought it worked.
I did too. People are weird about that movie, but I like
they
it.
are. They might be weird about that movie than this movie, frankly.
Yeah.
And he says like the dialogue tends to come later, and then you workshop it, and then sometimes on the day even like the dialogue can change, and anyone who's ever tried to make a movie before knows that everything you write down doesn't always work on the screen. So makes sense, right?
Unless you're George Lucas.
Unless you're George Lucas, yeah. Which is kind of the charm of his later stuff, I would argue.
Charm is a word.
And then Cormac McCarthy is just like, I have all these monologues about the human condition that I despise. I'm going to have everyone say it. And Ridley Scott's like, all right.
Groovy.
Yeah.
And then puts it in the movie.
Yeah.
It does feel like no one was allowed to deviate from the script. And maybe no one really wanted to. Maybe they're like, it's fucking Cormac McCarthy. Like, we can't challenge this. The script says hunch over and make clicking noises. And Javier Bardem's like, got it. Like, no questions asked. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Like, I forgot him and Penelope Cruz are married. I forgot that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Then they meet on that Woody Allen movie.
Yep.
There's probably weirder places to meet people, but that's a pretty weird one.
You know, if there are weirder places to meet people, I don't know them.
Who am I to stand in the way of love?
Oh my god.
And then after that, the riveting sequence in the bed, it goes The Counselor. So we get that before the title of the movie.
Yeah.
And then,
They knew what they had.
Yeah, and the audience at this point is like, what? It almost feels like the first hour of this movie is trying to be like, it's trying to tell the audience, like, don't, like, you know, like there's sometimes you want to recontextualize the audience and be like, you're thinking this is going to be a crime thriller. That's not what this movie's going to be.
Yeah.
And it feels like the whole first hour of the movie is dedicated to that.
Yeah, yeah. And then the back half is like just the pieces falling apart.
Yep.
Everyone suffers horribly.
Yeah. Well, that's actually interesting. I have like all these notes, and then at a certain point I just go, the pieces fall apart. I literally wrote that down. And then like the movie ends like I have much less notes after that, because then it's kind of like a fast run to the end, except for the fucking one guy quoting poetry. And hey, then there's cheetahs.
Yeah.
We see some cheetahs running around.
Yeah, Cameron Diaz's Cheetahs with Javier Bardem.
And I can't tell if it's just Cameron Diaz's natural look, or like if they might have done something to her eyes. She does have like a very like cat's eye look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's like the eyeshadow. I'm looking at the scene right now too.
Mm-hmm. She's definitely I mean, the whole movie she is stylized to be the cat. She is the cheetah. You know?
Yeah.
She's more cheetah-like than fucking Cheetah was in the Wonder Woman movie. God damn it!
Oh my God, very obvious casting now, having seen this, but that would have been a good choice, I think.
Yeah, maybe
not
like,
for that movie.
Not to be a dick. Maybe like if they had done a Wonder Woman movie like in the early 2000s, you know, like with like peak Cameron Diaz, because like that would be a good turn. Like when she's still like everyone loves her to like play a villain, you know. Now it feels a little like, okay, Cameron Diaz, you want to play a villain now. But hey, she does a job here. She does the job.
Yeah, I really do think she's great. I think she's my favorite performance in the movie, frankly.
This is not a movie I can judge the performances. Because it's one of those things where like, every time Javier Bardem's on screen, I'm like mesmerized. But like, can I call it a great performance? I really don't know. Because man, is he weird in this.
Oh, he's so strange. He's like an alien trapped in a human's body.
Yeah. And then there's the cheetah stuff is intercut with, we see the truck early on too, right? Mm-hmm. And we're following the sewage truck, which has all the shit in it. And we get a scene of illegal immigrants crossing the border, like right around then too, which I guess is to remind us that the border exists. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, honestly, it is like all the interconnectedness of like crime, survival. You know, because people come to America, this country, because it's been destabilized by the very country they're fleeing to for their own safety and hope for a better life and, you know, necessity. And then, you know, how does crime get started, right? How does, like, these vacuums of power, they tend to, like, form in communities where people have to, like, look after themselves. And, you know, the more money gets involved, the more heavy, serious stuff gets involved.
If only there was, like, a really obvious metaphor to, like, make all that point, you know? Like, let me just say, like, a sewage truck. That's like, its whole point is that it just keeps getting passed around from each person, you know? That it's literally just shit getting taken from one place to the other. And submerged in shit is poison.
Yeah, take that, Babylon.
Yeah, you fucks.
No, I haven't seen Babylon. I just know it opens with the elephant shitting or whatever.
Yeah, shitting directly into the camera lens.
Yeah, and so I thought about that, like that reference that you and many other people made when I was rewatching this for the podcast. I was like, oh, there you go. There's another one.
And just like I want to get people to understand this about Babylon, which we're not here to talk about. We might be talking about it next year, but depending on
maybe I'll even love it too.
Depending on how we're feeling about Brad Pitt a year from now. But I want you to understand how it feels to watch a movie where an elephant shits directly into the camera, and I mean like liquid shit. Like, it is like, this elephant ate something bad shit. And you're disgusted for about 5 seconds, and then it immediately wears off. I almost want to commend the film for like losing any sort of visceral reaction that quickly. Whereas this movie is like disgusting throughout, basically.
Trying to think what else. I will also give people who don't like this movie a little bit of credit. Not just because like the structure is very strange. I mean the scene momentum is very strange. You open with the truck shit, sex scene, more truck. Oh no, not truck shit. Motorcycle. Excuse me. Sex scene, truck shit, border crossing, Cameron Diaz and Javier Bardem. Cheetahs. And then
Cameron Diaz says truth has no temperature.
And then you're in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And then it's like, oh, hey, listen to this guy talk for a long time.
Yeah. After listening to Cameron Diaz talk for a long time. And then you're going to hear more people talk for a long time. And in every scene.
And then the movie's like, especially specifically in Amsterdam, the movie's like, you understand the importance of like the Jews on the Iberian Peninsula, right? Like everyone knows this stuff, right? And then it's America, so no. Like, and then it's like, okay, moving on. Which I believe that monologue was cut from the theatrical cut. Like,
I think so.
A lot of these monologues were longer in the extended cut, but they're still in the theatrical version. They're perfect diamonds, light. There are no perfect diamonds, right? right, Diego?
Yes. Yes.
Did you know that? Did you know there are no perfect diamonds? And then we get Javier Bardem is also like, he's the clicking man. That's why I think of him now. And he knows so much about women. He will not stop talking about how much he knows about women. Like he is the Andrew Tate of his era.
Oh my God.
Just how much he knows about women.
That's the worst thing you've ever said.
Well, who's another guy? I don't even know. All the pickup artists flame out really quickly.
Yeah.
Like, they're popular for, 2 minutes, and then, they're always accused of sexual assault, because of course. And then it's and then they're gone. Because there was a guy from a few years ago, remember? He had, a forum, and, he tried to, have, a meetup for, all his people, and it was, a miserable failure.
Thankfully, I have no idea who you're fucking talking about.
I can't remember his name either, but, he was accused of assault, because of course. And his books are basically here's how to assault women. They aren't pickup artist books.
Christ.
Yeah. He had a bit of a following, but he's still a creep. And at some point, it came out that he baked bread, and he had to release a video being it's manly to bake your own bread. Because that, hurt his image more than anything else he had done up to that point.
Oh my God.
And that was the last I heard about him. And it seems that, Andrew Tate has taken his thunder a little bit. How much longer that lasts, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Andrew Tate might be one of those guys who just, disappears. Actually disappears. One of these days. But, yeah. Same shit, different assholes. Kind of
and that's Javier Bardem.
Full of shit. Yeah, that's Javier Bardem. Well, he knows women so much, Diego. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, he definitely says he does a lot.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, by the end of the film, we discovered that he doesn't.
He doesn't at all. He doesn't understand women at all, because he was being played the whole time.
It's a real mind-boggler.
Even though, literally the scene where he's yeah, I understand women so much, man. I know women. I know what they want. They want XYZ. I know women. And it's hey, what do these stock things mean? He's I don't know, but Cameron Diaz does. That's the first scene. So, hey, It's see what women, opposites attract, but they also like the same thing. He says a bunch of contradictory shit, and it's okay, cool. It's and then the counselor's you are exactly the guy I want to go in on a deal with.
I like the cut of this guy's jib.
Yeah. You know what? I just talking to you over the phone, I wasn't sure. But finally, meeting you in person and seeing your home and your lifestyle, I get it.
Yeah, if you ever see someone who looks like Javier Bardem's character in this movie, and you're like, you know what? I like this guy. I'm gonna go into business with this guy. I trust him. I'm not gonna say you deserve everything that happens to you, but I will say
you shouldn't be. You
probably
can't
the
complain.
Stupidest fucking person ever.
You can't complain. You can't act like you were surprised when shit fell apart.
Yeah, you should know better.
Yeah. But also, like, I gotta say, there was a time where I was like, if someone like Javier Bardem, like, let's say he wasn't in drugs, but, like, was a tech disruptor of some kind, right? Mm. And he was, like, on TV talking about, like, I'm gonna do Uber for fucking nuclear energy or some shit. Like,
oh, my God.
And was, like, on TV. And he's, like, and every day I hear some story about, like, the stock has tripled and he's, like, he's worth... like, he's the first trillionaire, right? Like, there's all these stories about him. And, like, I'd be like, looking at this guy, I don't trust him, but maybe there's something I'm not getting. And I want to say, like, the last, like, 2-3 years, especially with, like, crypto collapsing, I've now learned to, like, nope, I'm going to trust my instincts from now on. Like, when I see dudes like that, if I start going, maybe there's something I'm just not getting. It's like, nope, I was right. Like, it turned out I was right. It's
Nah.
Yeah.
Speaking of after that scene where Michael Fassbender and Javier Bardem meet, do you know or do you remember the cut that happens into the next scene?
I don't not totally no. Was it the sewage going into the truck? Like there's a lot of
it's
sewage.
a dude pissing off the of this like this desert landscape.
Mm.
Like that's what we're dealing with this movie.
Yeah. That's also, there's a weird comment about Arabs right before that. You remember that?
No. Oh, God.
There's a line where it's like, he's talking about, like, Javier Bardem's talking about all the people he's doing business with. And he's like, and Fassbender's like, are you going to do business with them? And he's like, the Arabs? And he's like, no. And it's like, why? He's like, they don't need your money. And it's like an ominous line, right? And then cut to the guy pissing.
Oh, that Cormac McCarthy.
Oh, boy. He's got it all figured out.
I don't know about that.
Cormac McCarthy does feel like that relative that, like, you only met, like, once or twice, and, like, every time he did, he said something deeply unsettling. That, like, you don't even remember what the dude's face looks like, but you remember what they said. Yeah. It's like, well, I guess that's staying in my brain until I die. Like... All I remember after that, I remember the pissing, now that you mentioned it, I do remember that's when you get the guy being like, I eat dog food. Mm-hmm. Which is a sequence. That's the Green Hornet.
Yes. You can tell by the green jacket.
He wears a green jacket, but they don't call him the Green Hornet until after he dies. Mm.
Maybe there's a commentary there about how we don't value life and we don't even put a name to it until it's gone.
Maybe it's just structured very weird.
Or that too.
Maybe Cormac McCarthy, when he wrote "This guy's called the Green Hornet" in his screenplay, didn't realize that actors do not read the direction.
Well, I like to imagine that out of all the things that Cormac McCarthy just hates, he's like, no, but I like that Green Hornet show back in the day. I'm just gonna,
I wanted to make a reference.
Yeah, I just want to make a reference to that. It's the one time in his career where he's wanted to do that.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I think of.
And then we go to a restaurant, and there's a cheat at the restaurant.
I wonder what that could mean.
Hey, well, this is the moment when he proposes to her, and fucking the counselor proposes to Penelope Cruz. It's like, woo.
I want to say it's sweet.
The cheetah playing her game.
There's some dialogue choices in this movie.
Yeah, and a lot of them are in the next scene.
Yeah.
Which is the weird sexual tension between Cruz and Diaz.
Yeah.
Is this movie anti-women? I guess we just got to get that out there.
I think maybe, but Cormac McCarthy's just like anti-people.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you kind of hide behind that.
Yeah, you know? Where it's like, if someone came at me with like a thesis about like why this movie specifically hates women, I'd be like, yeah, probably, you're probably right. You probably
but
are.
a lot of this movie is about how Cameron Diaz has power over everyone, specifically through her sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's her big weapon ultimately.
Yeah.
Which could just be like Cormac McCarthy like playing the tropes a little bit, but it's also like really, really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she fucks a car, goddammit.
Yeah.
Like, and she's hitting on Penelope Cruz, which is like, yeah. And again, it's like, you don't know what the fuck is happening unless you've seen the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't know, like, this is Cameron Diaz, like, she's playing a game, you know? Like, this is her, she's keeping things spinning, right?
Yeah.
And instead, it's you're just like, is this something? Like, that's it. The first time viewing it is one of those movies where you're like, is this anything?
Yeah.
Every scene is like that. But also, like, the other thing that you're like, you don't know what the movie's trying to do is that the counselor, every time he meets someone new, that, like, as part of this deal, they're like, are you sure you want to be doing this? And the counselor's like, yeah, I'm sure. And they're like, do you know that if you do this, you're going to, like, horrible shit's going to happen, right? Like, you know that, right? And the counselor's like, I don't think so, but I'm still going to do it. And then they're like, all right. And that scene happens like 4 times. And
you know, some might say that that's like a little hackneyed screenwriting or whatever. If you've ever met men that are that confident, like they're just going to do the stupidest shit. So I get it. I totally get it.
It totally works once you get into like how helpless the counselor is in the last act of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, just him, like, wandering around. Where, like, it's almost a black comedy at that point, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's, like, when shit falls apart, and, like, Brad Pitt straight up is laughing at him, like, for his incompetence, and just being like, dude, everyone told you this would happen. Like, let me see what other, do I have any other quotes down? Do you have any?
No, not from this scene. It is a good scene.
I wrote that anytime they mention the word, whenever they said world in it, I wrote down. So, like, there's a line in that scene where Cruz goes, you think the world is strange? And Diaz goes, I meant yours. Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get it?
Get it? Because she has hope. She's like the innocent fucking Cruz, his character. Yeah. So of course everything works out for her.
It's so horrible.
And that like that scene, the ending of that scene, like with her being like, "You think the world is strange?" She says, "I meant yours," and we immediately cut to the counselor being like, "I'm in." Like, my back's against the wall. Which I guess is because of the engagement ring. Like, he spent a shit ton of money on that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's what's happening?
That was my assumption, where he's like, it's either he's doing it out of what he thinks is, or like that's his excuse that he loves her and he wants to like give her like the best life possible, or he's been like, things have been working out too well for him and he's just like, fuck it, I'm untouchable. And
but he says something about he specifically says his back's against the wall at a certain point.
Yeah, he does, but I don't know how true that is given the context of the film. Like,
well, yeah, but also that is that thing of like people when they're like, you know, like when fucking suburban America's like, oh god, the economy's so bad, I'm in trouble. I won't be able to go on 3 vacations this year.
Yeah, that type of mentality. That's all I'm referring to. Yeah,
like. Maybe that, but I don't know if he's that kind of... I don't know, is the counselor evil or is he just, like, evil out of naivete? Like,
I think it's out of naivete. Like, I think that's the reason why his and Cruz's relationship actually, like, has some, like, meat on its bones to me. You know, like, it's not like some epic swooning romance. It's not some great tragedy. It is a tragedy. But, you know, like, I think there is actually interesting material there where it's like he's in over his head. He doesn't recognize it. Here's the life he could have had he not been involved with this stuff.
Yeah, he should have just stayed in bed eating pussy. Like,
yeah, I mean, hey.
Be happy with your lot in life.
Yeah. if that's a boring day for you,
Yeah.
like what are you doing in this movie? Like,
Maybe you know what? There is another deleted scene where like he was like totally cool with that, but then he watched a video on his phone that said that only beta males eat pussy, so that's what spurred on everything. What a wild movie.
Yeah. Let's see what other big notes should we?
Well, he meets Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt basically gives a speech where he's talking to him. He does this thing where it's like, "Are you sure you want to get involved in this?" Like he does a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Bolito thing's already been set up, but that was set up by Javier Bardem, where he gives that whole fucking speech. And Brad Pitt's going on that, and he's like, "You'd be surprised the type of people in this business," which is kind of the movie's other point about like. Just like everyone at every level of the drug trade is like kind of culpable for this horrific shit happening, right?
Yeah.
And the counselor is like, you know, he's a guy who believes like, hey, I'm just the counselor. I'm not the guy fucking cut people's heads off and shit, right? Like, so that has nothing to do with me. He's in denial about all that. And Brad Pitt's like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And he basically, it's so funny, like, the counselor even calls him out where he's like, this is a hell of a thing to say to someone you're trying to go in on a deal with. And he's like, well, I'm just speaking the truth, man. Like, and he basically just keeps saying, don't do it. And he talks about, like, there's also a comment where he's like, what do people who have all the money in the world with no sense of moral compass do? And his conclusion is they basically torture women to death, right? Mm-hmm. That's what he throws out there as like one of the things they do. Which is the first time that element is brought up.
Wonder if that'll come back.
And then a very confusing jump. We meet Rosie Perez in prison. I'm honestly still kind of confused on this one. Like, what's happening here? And how does
he's counseling her.
He's the counselor, but he's, like, appointed to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have no prior relationship.
Yes.
And she just happens to be connected to the Green Hornet just happens to be her son.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what leads to everything falling apart, right? It just happens to be the kid who's the central figure in the deal that's about to go down.
Why do you think that is?
Because God wills it.
Yeah, I think it's just like some cosmic nihilism.
I guess.
You know, I don't think it fits neatly into like I think Cormac McCarthy is just like the universe is going to kill all of us. There are human systems in play, which is like the drugs trade and stuff like that. And then there's like the cosmic sense of it, where it's just like you're gonna get fucked by the world.
I don't understand why this element feels so detached from everything. You know what I'm saying?
Because for a movie that's very bizarre, and you and I are talking about it like it's an elemental like psychosis, that part is genuinely like it has to be cosmically evil.
Yeah,
like to fit into this movie, like the chances of that happening are not logical. Or are they so illogical that it becomes logical?
I mean, what's logical and illogical doesn't matter to me, really.
Yeah.
It just feels like there is a cleaner version of the movie where, like, Brad Pitt or someone is like, okay, we'll go into this deal. By the way, could you help me out with this? Or something, right? Mm-hmm. That, like, from Brad Pitt, we get to Rosie Perez. And now, like I said, Cormac McCarthy could be making a point about, like, the randomness of it. Like, that this is just a tragic kind of universe coincidence that leads to everything. That's a comment later where they're like these guys don't believe in coincidences, which is what this is, right?
Yeah.
So like that could be it, but it's a little sweaty.
Yeah.
It's a little hey. But what are you gonna do?
Just dance around like Javier Bardem. Mm-hmm. Not talk like him, though. It's very important that you don't talk like him.
I'm going to have to try not to, because I like doing Javier Bardem's voice, unfortunately.
Oh, what a fucking great actor, huh?
I know, he's good.
God, what the fuck is he up to lately? That's my question now.
Yeah, he's in Dune.
Oh, yeah, duh!
He shows
I'm the one that liked
it. And he's good in it. He's an ambassador for Greenpeace.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, good for
The
him.
protection of Antarctica.
Oh, good for him. Unless there's something I don't know about Greenpeace. In which
Oh
case,
yeah,
please
he
tell
was
me
in
now.
Mother.
Oh.
He was him.
You know what he was in recently? I totally fucking forgot. I didn't
What?
see it. Being the Ricardos.
Oh,
as Desi
yeah.
Arnaz.
You know what? Hey, here's something
That's-
kind of
Jesus.
hysterical. We had a conversation last week about like we have to find another we should think of another movie to add to the retrospective, right? Like what are some like obvious failed awards contenders from the last few years? And we even hit on Aaron Sorkin. We even we should do something Sorkin related. Neither one of us even mentioned Being the Ricardos. It didn't come up at all.
I know. We were looking at his filmography and stuff like that, and I was like, nah, I don't see anything else
Yeah,
there.
we were like, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Steve Jobs, but that was a while ago.
I didn't want to watch the Trial of Chicago 7 because
yeah, we were like, that was the one we hit on. We were both like, Trial of Chicago 7, but like neither of us wanted to watch it. So, but not a one brought up Being the Ricardos.
And I just think it's fucking hysterical. Like, Javier Bardem as Desi Arnaz was a choice that Aaron Sorkin apparently fought hard for. And immediately everyone was like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it was one of those like, no.
Lucy, you have some explaining to do.
He should have just shown up looking like Anton Chigurh.
No, he should have shown up looking like his character from this movie.
Or Skyfall, just anything. Every scene it should have been a different Javier Bardem character.
There we go. That's the move right there.
Because including Armando Salazar from Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Oh God, I forgot about that. He was the bad guy in that one.
Yeah. Remember when it was like this was peak Johnny Depp's got some stuff swirling around him. So they can't even really use him in the advertisement. So the first trailer had no Johnny Depp in it. It just had Javier Bardem. It was like, can you give him this message? What a film that exists.
Yeah, killed the franchise.
Nope, it made money.
No, but apart from the swirlings around that certain actor, which were in the water for like a decade before, but whatever. That movie did it caused the company to lose interest in pursuing that property for a while.
Well, it is one of those things where I think they have to give Johnny Depp a country if they want to do another movie, right?
Yeah.
In the contract.
That and maybe his insurance fees are a little pricey.
Yeah, that seems to be one of those things that if you want to go, is this actor bad? Maybe start looking into if those sorts of insurance things are being taken out on them, because it's like that thing where Kevin Spacey had that in his contract when he signed up for House of Cards. And it's
I didn't know that. Holy shit.
Yeah, the beginning of House of Cards.
Oh my God.
So, it was a thing known. And it seems to be, a recurring thing where, when people know this shit, there's insurance claims taken out.
And I brought this one up before, too, but also keep track of when people are dropped by their agencies.
Yeah, their agencies.
Their agencies don't drop people if they're just having, studio bombs. You'll be dropped for other reasons.
Yeah.
I the names of those reasons are perhaps legal terms. So just keep that in mind if you ever see someone why were they dropped by their agency?
Look into who their publicist is and if that has changed recently.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's also a thing.
Yeah.
So just gonna throw those things out there.
Unlike Ridley Scott, who's never done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Here's the pull quote from Exodus Gods and Kings. No,
yeah. Ridley Scott feels like Ridley Scott has said some dumb shit, but I don't know if there's anything bad about Ridley Scott out there. Other than being a maniac, especially when he was younger.
Yeah.
There's a story
apparently
of him,
the dude
yelling
can drink.
at Sigourney Weaver and shit.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, there's one. It's in the documentary that they're all interviewed for, so clearly they were okay talking about it, and they seem chill now. And she worked with him on Exodus Gods and Kings.
Yeah, they're still. I mean, I don't know how close, but like they've worked together, and they
But
keep
she
in
said
touch.
like he yelled at her, like he's like snapped on her after one take, and like she started crying.
Oh
And
Jesus!
said that she had to apologize. The other story is that Yaphet Kotto was apparently like really intense on that set.
I heard that one.
He was one of those like he's like in character all the time.
Yeah, and he was like pushing her to get to a point, and it's like, yeah, that's good, but that's not your job. Maybe she's a younger actress. This is her first big role. Maybe don't pressure her that way. Maybe that's the director's job, and maybe even he shouldn't push her to that limit. So,
Yaphet Kotto, another guy who like just stopped at one point, and I was wondering what that was about, and then I went to his Wikipedia page. And I did not realize that he endorsed Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020.
Yeah.
But also expressed support for both Black Lives Matter and QAnon. and this is from Wikipedia, which is like Wikipedia's goal is to be like as objective as possible. It says he also expressed support for Black Lives Matter and QAnon, despite their convicting views and conflicts between both groups.
What's I forget the It's Always Sunny quote, like, I'm playing both sides, so I always come out on top.
Yeah.
That was Yaphet Kotto.
But, you know, who knows? That could... You never know. Yaphet Kotto, how old was he? He was in his
81.
Yeah, he was 81. You know, people get weird when they get old sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's remember the good times.
Yeah.
He
Midnight Run and the Running
He was
Man.
almost Captain Picard on Star Trek.
Whoa.
He was the runner-up.
That's not a bad choice. I know
Not
you
a
just
bad
said some
choice.
like unfortunate things about his
Yeah.
real life self, but in terms of acting, not a bad choice.
Not a bad choice. He voiced Parker in Alien Isolation?
Yeah, they brought back the original cast. For
I didn't know that. I
Alien
didn't know he
Isolation.
voiced it. I thought that he just they just used archival audio.
No, they had him like redo certain lines and then do like new lines. It's like a mini section of like downloadable content.
We have this thing. You had to like
get.
download it, right? Like it was.
Yeah, I think it's free now, but it did cost like $10 back in the day or something.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Yeah. Great game. They should have made a sequel.
Yeah, but Diego, it only made like $1 million. Games need to make $17 billion.
Oh well.
There weren't
Well, when you put it
enough
that way.
ways to rip off the general public with it.
That is basically why they never followed up.
That's
on
what
it.
they said.
Yeah.
And you think Cormac McCarthy's bleak?
Yeah, no.
Beat up on the video game industry.
God damn it! So I'm gonna get back into streaming the Thing video game because I want to finish it, and then I promised the American people that I would play Resident Evil 8 over Twitch. That's the only way I'd play it. So I'm gonna.
I'm
do
sure
that.
you'll be cool and chill about it.
I'm sure I'll be fine. But I really want to play Alien Isolation again. Maybe I'll add that to the list.
Yeah.
That was a good game. They should do a game adaptation of The Counselor, but it'll be like the setup for Alien Isolation, where it's like generally the same premise as the movie.
No,
But it's the lead character's daughter, or I guess it'd be the son, the counselor's son. You know?
It could just be the counselor, but it's like he's just in Mexico now, waiting. That's the whole game. Like nothing happens.
No. Every person you meet is giving you like a fucking thesis monologue about the nature of existence and the systems outside of our control.
And you call up a drug dealer, and they're like, "A Rolling Stone gathers no moss."
Yeah.
Like, what? And then they hang up. Yeah, I don't know if we need to really go in on the plot, other than, hey, this deal that everyone says might fall apart, falls apart, and then shit goes bad.
Yeah, and then it becomes even more violent, and then it gets more violent than you thought it would get. And
I don't know if that happens.
well, gruesome.
It's a
Can I say
Cormac
that?
McCarthy. His name's on it. I know it's going to get violent. So now, it's more the bleakness that, like, even though Cormac McCarthy is known for that, you never really know if the movies are going to go there. And this one fucking sure does go there.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so, like, the Green Hornet gets killed. This blows back on Fassbender, and Brad Pitt's, like, basically laughing at him, being like, "You're fucked." and like continues that way for most of it. And there's like basically a point in it where he's like, "Yep, I'm leaving in an hour," and like Brad Pitt's like, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you should have been gone like 3 days ago." Like, and Javier Bardem gets killed when they attempt to kidnap him. Right?
Yeah.
There's a shootout that kind of just happens in the middle of it. Like, I know why it happens, but it was also like, we didn't even need to see it, really.
Mm-hmm.
But Cruz gets kidnapped, and then the counselor makes his way to Mexico. And it's basically just watching him just, like, waiting for, like, an absolution, basically, that never comes. And it's dark and depressing.
I want to talk about the Green Hornet death because I mentioned the decapitation thing, which is like I was in a weird way like hyping it up because it's like really impressive technically how they did it. It is like incredibly unsettling, and the coldness with which it's done is really unsettling with the Wire Man.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of these scenes in this movie where like there's a lot of dudes. I mean, later when like Dean Norris comes into the movie and he's just kind of like, "Oh, there's a body in there. Can I see it?" Like, he's just kind of like really chill about it. Like,
yeah. There's two things that happen with this one scene though that are just so weirdly contrasting. So the Wire Man like shakes the head out of the helmet, which is maybe the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And then Rosie Perez wakes up after her son is decapitated. It's like that's the cosmicness of it all, which I don't hear people talk about.
You went over one of the more fucked up moments for me, anyway.
Okay.
Which happens before the decapitation. Which is when that guy just goes to like a dealership and like just starts measuring that motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, nah, I'm good. Like that is one of those like, you know, one of those things where like if you're like you've had jobs though where like you've had a weird moment, right, with like a complete stranger.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then you're like, I can't really think of what that was about, but I feel like any answer would be bad, so I'm just not going to pursue it.
Like, yeah, you know, like sometimes you don't need to know things. This is, I was coming back from one of the first jobs I ever worked at on the bus. This is before I owned a car. And it wasn't job related, but it's just, I was on a bus coming home through a warehouse district, and someone walked onto the bus in what looked like a hazmat suit without a helmet. Okay? And he looked unwell. I'm not making fun of him. I don't know what the deal was, right? But he kept scratching his head, and he kept like sniffing and looking around, and he kept like looking back behind the bus. Not at the back of the bus, but like out the windows and stuff like that. And then he was like, "You know what? Can you let me out here?" "Yeah, I just need to get out here." And then he just left. It was the strangest 30 seconds of my entire life.
One time, I've got one that's like there's nothing like that unsettling. Like that's pretty fucking unsettling, but it is one where I have no idea what it's connected to. I used to have to take a bus when I lived in Syracuse, New York. Now Syracuse had one of the worst public transportation setups ever. I had a class at a community college at 2 p.m. and in order to make it, I had to take a bus that left at 9 a.m. This was my life for a few years. Yeah, because I didn't have a car. I couldn't drive anywhere. I didn't have my license, so I needed to take a bus. I get on the bus this morning. I'm like, and also like, it's only like the closest stop to me. Also, it's an hour hike to my stop.
Oh, that's the fucking worst.
Yeah. So I have to walk there. And then it's the first stop for this whole thing. And then it's also the place I'm going is the last stop. And yeah, it was a lot. So I get on the bus. I'm the only one. We drive around. We're going by other stops, but no one's there because who would be? It's a terrible system. Guy drives the bus into a parking lot over by a Dunkin' Donuts. Parks the bus in the parking lot. Gets out of the bus. And I just see him walking in circles on a cell phone. for like 20 minutes. Not, and when I say on a cell phone, I do not mean like talking in it. He's like holding it in front of him and like looking around. This is the driver. He does this for 20 minutes. Nothing substantial changes. He gets back on the bus and then everything continues like that didn't just happen.
Well, that's the United States public transportation system.
What assassination I just barely avoided getting involved in, I don't know. But yeah, that was a time. That was of just it was like it was winter too, so like I'd have to walk an hour.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And like by the time I get back, it's night, so I'm freezing to death and walking home. And then I finally got my license, but I didn't get approval to park at the college yet. And this college was at the top of a mountain. Not really a mountain, but it was a pretty big hill. Because, like, you know, that whole area, like, glaciers carved out all these hills and valleys around there. So it's all fucked up looking. It was at the top of the hill. I parked in an apartment complex at the bottom of the hill. Froze to death basically walking up to the top of it. And then at the end of the day when I had to walk back to my car, my whole car had like frozen solid.
Jesus.
And I was so cold I couldn't touch the steering wheel for prolonged periods of time. I had no gloves either. And I'm like, so like to drive it, I would have to like grab it and like adjust the wheel slightly and then let go. Like it hurt too much to hold the wheel. And the car never warmed up by the time I got back, by the time I got home. And then the next day I had classes and I just went, fuck it, I'm not going. I was too fucked up from the night before.
You know what? I completely understand that.
Shout out to Onondaga Community College.
All right.
It's actually a chill place, but it wasn't worth any of that. That was my version of the counselor.
Yeah.
We all suffer in our own ways, buddy.
Yeah, everyone has their counselor moments.
Yeah.
I'm gonna become the counselor.
I am gonna become the counselor. No, I am most certainly not going to become the counselor. This is a pretty good movie where it's like someone goes like, "Hey, you can make all this money, but it involves getting in. You just have to get involved with the drug cartel slightly." It's like, okay, I'm good. That one, you know, there's no money you could offer.
Yeah, you know, this is in many ways the greatest dare campaign movie ever made.
Yeah, kinda, honestly.
Which is maybe not what Cormac McCarthy ever wanted to hear, but
didn't dare actually lead to an increase in drug use?
Probably.
That's one of those things lectures? You hear. Like, it was one of those where, like, if you go around telling kids everyone is doing drugs and they'll try to you know, peer pressure you. It turns out if you tell kids that, they think drugs aren't that weird.
Which is also just not drugs, like in the real world.
Yeah.
You come to understand this. I will say, apparently everyone does cocaine, and I just fucking missed the memo until a couple years
cocaine
back.
is everywhere, weed is everywhere.
Yeah.
And then also
chill.
if
the other
you grow
one
up,
is the opposite of chill.
And if you live in certain parts of the country that I lived in, the opioid crisis was big for a bit, but don't worry, heroin replaced it.
Oh, good. And see, I have a fear of needles, so...
You ever think about that, like the amount of drugs you haven't gotten into just because you're afraid of, like, injecting anything into yourself?
Yeah,
like,
that's a little much for me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm also an No. No.
That'd be a hell of a twist.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. It'd be bad.
When you get the vaccine, are you scared of that needle?
No, I'm not really, like, because I know it's, like, for my benefit, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying are you afraid of the vaccine, but, like, that shot, are you, like...
Oh, and, like the needles? Oh, I kind of tense up. Every doctor, every nurse always says, like, try not to tense up, and it's like, well, now I'm fucking tensing up. I know you gotta do your job, so I'm not gonna go off or anything like that, but, like, you know, maybe don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Just surprise me next time.
I only get like that with. I have to tell them when I do blood work because I get blood work a lot because of all my bullshit. And I was basically like, I get like really nervous beforehand, but I tell them like I just let them know I'm not gonna pass out because some people will just straight up pass out if they see their own blood. You know?
Yeah.
And if you tell nurses that, they're like, oh, okay. And then they're chill. Like, if they see you nervous, they're just worried that you're going to be one of those people that fucking freaks out.
Yeah, I think I've talked about it before, but I actually don't handle real life blood very well. Like I could do like a nosebleed. I used to get nosebleeds a lot. And like, that's fine. But if I get like a serious cut, like somewhere else on my body, I'll be like, oh, I don't love the look of that, you know?
Want to hear a great moment in Gringo family parenting?
All right, let's do it.
When I was a kid, I was running around being a little goofball, because that's what you do when you're a kid, and I slipped and I hit my face on the hardwood floor. And I had hit my front 2 teeth. I didn't knock them out, but I basically knocked them out without knocking them out. Like, when I went to the dentist, they were like, I still had them in my mouth, but they were like, there is, like, all the nerves that connect them are, like, gone already. Like, you hit them so hard, it basically tore out all those nerves. But
Jesus.
I was like, okay. And it didn't hurt that much, but it, like, hurt a little bit. And I reached my hand up to my mouth, because, you know, that's what you do when you get hurt. You, like, feel it. I pull my hand away, and it is just covered in blood. And it's the most blood I've ever seen in my entire life, because I'm, like, 7. And I start shrieking because I've never seen that much blood, and I'm like uncontrollably shrieking. My screams freak my younger sister out. He's like 2 years younger than me, and my dad comes up behind me and like grabs me and is like, "Knock it off!" And then sees that I have blood all over my face. So. And then he's like, oh. Like, you went from, God damn it, Matt, to oh. So again, we all have our own struggles.
Yeah.
So the counselor should just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, let's hit some big points, and then I think we could start wrapping up. Because otherwise it's like...
Who drops the whole, like, oh, they're going to send you a DVD thing? Because someone set that up, right? Like...
Fuck, it's not Javier Bardem.
It must have been Brad Pitt then.
I think it's Brad Pitt because they're talking about like the abuse woman thing. I think that's them.
But it has to be like their second conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Because everyone basically has 2 conversations where they say basically the same thing they said in the first conversation.
Yeah, it's when they're sitting down, and then it's when they're at like the bar counter outside. And that's when he shows him the Green Hornet. He's like, "Have you heard of the Green Hornet? Oh, the cartoon, no, character, whatever." And then yeah, it's those conversations right there, I think, is when they plant that seed. Yeah, so it's a unfortunately disturbing thing. We're going to send you a DVD
with the word "Hola" written on it, right?
Did they say the Hola thing? I
think so, because that's a big part of, like, that's part of the reveal. Like, he opens up the DVD case and flips it over. When he sees that, he knows what that means. Right?
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
Because it's not just him. Because if it was just a DVD, he would have freaked out the moment he saw he had a DVD. Mm-hmm. Unless he was like, oh, maybe it's a bare naked lady CD. And then it's like, oh, no. But, yeah. And the basic guy says, oh, because he does the whole thing where it's like, yeah, people, they'll chop a lady's head off on film. It's a snuff film. And is also like, some people pay to have the privilege of being in the video, right? Like, to be the one to do it. And he basically was like, imagine how much that costs, being like, this is the people you're going up against. This is how much power these people have. Like, so, if I can take it seriously. And the counselor doesn't take it seriously. Yeah, Penelope Cruz gets kidnapped. Diego, what do you have to say?
It's upsetting. And it's before she's brutally murdered. Which thankfully we don't actually see. Although, we see the aftermath.
Like, it's still awful. Like, it is...
It's still fucking the worst thing ever. It really is viscerally disturbing. And
there is something about... I think not seeing it makes it worse, honestly. Like,
I don't know if there's a good answer. I think it's just bad all around.
Here's something about, like, with violence in movies, like, because here's something. Brad Pitt's head pops off at the end of this movie, right? Like,
yeah,
he gets bolitoed, like, when Chekhov's bolito goes off, and that is like. It's pretty violent, but it's not like you're not sitting there being like, oh no, what is happening, right? Like, because I think there's a disconnect when you watch an actor like Brad Pitt go through it, where you're like, you're just an actor, dude, right? Like, I understand that, like, everyone on board, everyone filming the scene knows what's happening, and that you're all going to get craft services after you do this horrible sequence, right? Like, so, like, seeing Penelope Cruz go through it would have. It's weird. Like, for me, that would make it easier to digest. There's something much darker about the last we see of her is her getting kidnapped and thrown in the back of a van, right? And then it's one thing to get the DVD, and then there's the completely unnecessary shot of her fucking headless corpse being dumped into a landfill.
Yeah, that's...
Like, that is so much darker than if they actually showed it. Like, that is... horrific shit.
Yeah, like I really don't have like a better response or anything about that. Like, it really is just one of the worst things you'll ever see, and I think the DVD is enough. Frankly, I don't think that one was.
But
necessary.
I think it wouldn't be a Ridley Scott film unless he showed that body.
You know, we're having like a ball talking about this and stuff like that. I think that even for me is too much. Like, that's the worst. It is the worst thing ever. You know, versus like the Brad Pitt scene, which is very well filmed and edited, because he's like, when that first jogger's like running past him, he's like, oh shit. You know.
Also, there's literally a song on the soundtrack where, like, it's going like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, the music is ridiculous in that scene. Yeah. Like, that feels like the kind of like House of Gucci style, like Hannibal, Ridley Scott energy.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little heightened and shit like that. And then it fucking hits you with just that worst thing ever. But the Bolito scene...
Well, yeah, the Bolito happens after her headless body, though, right?
No, it happens before.
Does it?
Yeah, it's the Bolito scene, and then we catch up with the counselor, and then he gets the Ola.
Okay. Is that the last we see of the counselor?
That is the last we see of the counselor. Because then it's Cameron Diaz with her scene, and then she says, I'm famished.
And she says, you can sell diamonds on Mars.
What a fucking script.
I mean, that could be thematically appropriate. Because it is, like, what sets some of this in motion is him buying a diamond for his girl, you know?
That's true.
And it could just be like, this is human nature. This is going to follow us anywhere, right? Like, as long as people want diamonds, this sort of shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's pretty bleak, but...
Oh, it's... Yeah.
There's that, like, other moment. I always think of this because I think it's a brilliant scene. And since we'll never do this on the show, probably. But in No Country for Old Men... There's that scene where Javier Bardem... This is spoilers for No Country for Old Men. If you haven't seen it, what the fuck are you doing listening to our podcast?
You know, no, I do want to meet the person that's seen The Counselor, but not No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be insane. There's a scene where Javier Bardem's character ends up in that car accident, right? And, like, his arm gets all fucked up. And he meets those two kids. And he, like, gives them the money. And the first kid's like, nah, I don't need your money. I'm just going to give you the shirt. Like, this is the right thing to do. And he's like, not take it. And he's like, you never saw me. I was already gone. And as he's leaving, you hear the two kids immediately start fighting over the money. Right? Which is like, that's what that whole fucking movie was.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's like Cormac McCarthy, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, yep, this is what we do. So.
Yeah, goddamn, what a fucking movie.
Wild shit.
Yeah, both that movie and The Counselor.
Yeah.
I don't think The Counselor really stacks up to that one.
No. But, like,
that one
is like, that was like a perfect storm of a fucking movie. Like,
yeah.
Just the Coen brothers at the right time, right place, in the perfect cast, the perfect source material, which is like one of the few times the Coen brothers have actually, like, adapted something, you know? They've tried a few times and usually it doesn't come through.
Yeah.
But, And then Joel did Tragedy of Macbeth.
Yeah, which I loved a lot.
It was solid. But
Denzel fucking just killing it.
Yeah,
like he
Denzel
never
being
gets a role
Macbeth.
like that. That's what I loved out of that one.
Denzel is just, but you know who almost not acts him off the screen, even though they don't have a scene together.
Who?
Stephen Root as the porter.
Oh my god, yeah. I didn't know he was in it, so I had a fucking...
Yeah, same.
a ball.
I did not know. It was one of those things where it's like, I was enjoying it, but it's also like, this can't really be a total Coen Brothers project. They can't get like their character guys in this. And then it's like, nope, Stephen Root. Like, good stuff.
Good stuff. I should also mention that this film is in memory of Matt Baker and
that was
Tony
something.
Scott.
You know what? I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot that like a big thing which might influence some of the tone of this movie is that Tony Scott died in the middle of production.
Yeah,
and like they stopped production for like a few weeks, I think,
mm-hmm.
As a result, which is tragic. Like
yeah.
And so, like, that might influence some of the bleakness of this movie.
Yeah, and I think people underestimate the legacy of Tony Scott. Even if people don't remember the name, people remember his movies.
Mm-hmm.
And people remember that a director committed suicide in 2012. Because I forget what it was. We were talking about Top Gun or something with some family over dinner recently. And they were like, oh, well, the original director died, didn't he? And I was like, what? Like, how'd you know that? And they were like, yeah, I think that I read something in the papers back, like, 9 years ago or something, like 2009, he commit suicide? And I was like, yeah, that's, wow. That's a surprise that normal people remember that. I guess it just, like, I don't know, something like that just stays with people. I don't know how that, like, influenced Ridley Scott making this movie, of course, but it did something, and very sad. Very, very, very sad, and frankly, a strange movie to dedicate to someone you love. But that's out of his control.
Now that you mention it, that is a weird. Like, hey, what are you gonna do? It kind of just. Yeah, I guess it's like a coincidence. What you better die at the right fucking time. I guess.
Yeah.
You'll have like some fucking nightmare shit, and then people are gonna be like, he had a weird relationship with his brother or something.
Yeah. Like, imagine Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 ends, and then it's like in loving memory of mom and dad.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be, you would be like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, The Counselor. Would you recommend it?
Not really, but I do think it's a good movie.
Yeah,
it is honestly, a hard one to recommend. It is a hard one.
Yeah. This is really just, I'll just keep it in my library. If people are interested, check it out. If you're like, this is the most disgusting thing you've ever seen, I get it. If you don't like it at the beginning, I promise you'll not like it at the end. So
yeah, you'll know pretty quickly. You'll know pretty quickly if this is a movie for you.
Yeah, you'll know. Just trust the process.
Yeah,
trust your instincts on this one. But yeah, I love it. It's I feel gross talking about it at this point, frankly, but it's what it is.
But hey, Ridley Scott's Napoleon.
Oh yeah, he's doing Napoleon this year
on the horizon.
Double feature with the classic 1920s Napoleon.
Oh yeah,
you ever seen that one?
That's the really long one, right?
Yeah.
It's
good.
You ever see Waterloo?
No, Abel Gance. That's the name of the director who did it. It's like 5 hours. BBC did a great Blu-ray release of it, so go check it out, everyone.
There's a 1970s movie called Waterloo, where Rod Steiger plays Napoleon.
Would you recommend Waterloo?
No. Well, if you want an example of, like, what people will complain about movies not being accurate, Waterloo is kind of famous for how accurate it is, and it's like a boring-ass movie. So, yeah. Peter Jackson says Waterloo inspired his future projects.
Oh, okay. Is he gonna direct another movie?
Damn. What is Peter Jackson gonna do?
I don't know. He's been doing documentaries after The Hobbit. I think he...
Well, The Hobbit, like, straight up broke him. Like...
Yeah.
And And he had that thing where like he tried to get movies produced for a while, and a lot of those fell apart. And then the ones that did come together were like Mortal Engines, which also bombed. And then there was that
Failed
guy
blockbuster.
he also collects like vintage airplanes, and then the guy was like stealing them.
What?
There was some big news story a little while back about like the guy who like was helping Peter Jackson buy like old airplanes, like ended up like stealing a bunch of them.
That's the cosmic evil.
Yeah.
Hanging over all of this. So
yeah.
maybe Cormac McCarthy's got his finger on the pulse.
What is the universe trying to tell Peter Jackson?
Make another movie.
Don't collect airplanes. That's dumb.
Also that.
I don't know. Whatever makes you happy, Pete. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'd like to see him do another horror movie.
Yeah.
If he's got it in him, I don't know. I don't know his life.
I think there's a thing that happens with some directors where when they make the big movie, like Lord of the Rings, they cannot go back to making small movies. Because like a lot of, The Lovely Bones is famous. Like it's like this very quiet kind of meditative story about death, and like he blew it up into like this giant thing. And it's like, I guess that's just how he makes movies now,
Yeah. Well, give him a big splatterpunk movie.
Yeah.
Have him do his Malignant,
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. All right. That's The Counselor.
The Counselor.
Sorry.
Get counseled.
Oh. Well, it's got 2 counseled people starring in it. So.
No.
All right, let's see if we cancel the next week's movie. I got the numbers ready to plug in on the little number generator.
Wheel of
our next
morality,
failed award contender.
Turn. Tell us a lesson that we should learn.
Okay, you're gonna be happy.
Nope.
We're talking Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Fuck yeah, motherfucker!
The failed retrospective.
Thankfully, no canceled men at the heart of that film.
Oh yeah.
That's one people just kind of ignore.
What's the deal there? Or I guess we could save it for next week.
It's Gary Oldman. I don't know, man. Like, he's Gary Oldman. He's 60. He was married to Uma Thurman. I forgot that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for like 2 years.
Oh.
He's got a lot of like 2-year marriages.
Wonder what that's about.
He's on his 5th marriage currently.
If you're married more times than James Cameron, I think you should.
Yeah, that is one of those like that might be a red flag.
Yeah, and even he's been married to the same person for like 20 years now. So,
well, Gary Oldman returning from the JFK retrospective, and will probably be making 2 appearances on the failed awards contenders.
Is he? Let me see. Is he?
Didn't we talk to add another film last time?
Is he in that one?
If the one I'm thinking of is the correct one, he is the lead of that film.
Oh wait, no, I don't think so. What are you talking about?
Do you want me to say it? Or,
yeah, you want to say it.
Beep it.
Yeah.
Are we doing?
Oh yes, we are doing. Oh my god.
He is the.
Yeah. Oh fuck, I forgot. No, because you know why? Because you brought up the Sorkin thing and the other thing. Mm-hmm. Like we didn't settle on one for that, but that's why I was like, I was thinking Sorkin. And I was like, no, he's not the lead in any of those. Yeah, that. Oh fuck. Gary Oldman retrospective.
Fuck no.
No, because then that ties us to Kung Fu Panda too.
Yeah. Fuck that. All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. Links to our stuff in the descriptions. You know how it goes. Thanks
Judy
for listening.
Foster.
Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional.
Goodbye. Oh shit, my recording won't stop.
No, it's okay.
All right, it's still going. There.